Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. And we're reacting to the loss to the Philadelphia 76ers last night, a second night of a back-to-back. I'm calling it a scheduled loss because really it is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I said yesterday, the Sixers last played on Sunday. We've played 2 games since they played their last game on Sunday. Played the same team they played on Sunday the next night on Monday night, and then we played the Milwaukee Bucks, and then we played them. They had 3 days off. We had 12 hours off. So it's messed up, man. It is messed up. It's very, very by design. And I can't fault them. I think that they did pretty good job last night considering things, considering they had to run out of our building on Wednesday night and get on a plane and fly to Philadelphia. Probably got in around 2:30, 3 a.m., went to sleep then, and then had to play a game. Meanwhile, these jabronis were sitting around watching their team trade James Harden for the last couple days. Yeah, it's so insidiously set up, and both games were like this. Last Saturday, same thing. Put Philly on the second night of a back-to-back for Toronto. Help Nick Nurse have a winning record against them. Help a division rival against Toronto have a winning record against them right away at the beginning of the season. It's really, really messed up. You know, the Raptors played really well against them. I thought that, well, obviously Scottie was amazing at the very beginning of the game last night. That's what we need to get more and more used to, is seeing Scottie being a very dominant player in the court, just like Kawhi Leonard. And you know, they played really well with them and hung with them pretty much up until the end. It's just at some point that fatigue is going to be a problem. It's going to be a difference because the other team has lots of juice and you are really starting to feel that tired trip from the night before and your legs from playing against the Bucks and Giannis and Dame Lillard the night before. Yeah, it's messed up, man. It's messed up. And shame on you, NBA, for gaming your league with your schedule. You've done this to the Raptors 2 years in a row where you front end our team with so many games that we jam in all these games in the first week of the season. And meanwhile, I look and I see the Celtics have played like 3 games. We played like 6 games already. The Sixers have played like 3 games. We played 6 games already. What the fuck are y'all trying to do to the Raptors franchise? Y'all really want to bury us fucking 50 feet into the ground with your fucking bullshit. It just makes me mad. But in some ways, it is what it is. And we got to do what we got to do. And as Darko said after the game, we signed up for this. This is the NBA. And we understand we don't make the schedule. And we got to just do what they put in front of us. Oh, man. He's got the right attitude and he's right. In some ways, no excuses. I get that. Some of y'all may be like, don't make excuses. Bullshit. This is an excuse that is very valid. And it very much games the game. It games it for them. It's very much a setup of a very, very easy advantage you can have for sure for a team, the way you schedule the rest days and the back-to-backs between two teams when they match up with each other. It's very, very much a way the NBA schedule makers can game an advantage for a team they want to have an advantage. Yeah, it's just how it is. We'll talk about the differences between the Philadelphia game last night and the one from Saturday. We'll talk about our 3 stars of the game. You know what I'm going to do? When they lose, I'm only doing 3 stars of the game. I'm 5 when they win, 3 when they lose. I've decided that. There's like no reason to do 5 stars when they lose. All right, Trevor J's here first. Here's the Trevor J Commissioner Cup. There's more and more talk about the in-season tournament because it's about to start with the new fancy courts and the new incentives of money. I found out this morning that not only the players get $500,000 each for winning the in-season tournament on being that team, the coach gets $500,000 also. So there's incentive for the coaches to also win this tournament. And it's just like Survivor. In Survivor, you win, you get $1 million. This person who comes in second gets $500,000. Then it tapers down with smaller amounts. So depending on how you finish in the in-season tournament, you're going to get paid a certain amount. So there you go. There's your incentive to get an in-season tournament NBA Cup. Yeah, they call it the NBA Cup because they want to keep it ambiguous so they can change it later and just keep it basic right now. So that's probably not what it's going to be called going forward. If it's successful, it may probably change what they call the actual cup. But this is always going to be the Trevor J Cup, at least for this year. That's right. Good morning, Raptors family, from Trevor J, Commissioner Trevor J. Thank you for being our commissioner of fun, sports, and games. Yeah, Trevor J saying, when things don't go right for you, don't put your head down. Put your head up and move forward. It is part of the process. Things we go through is part of life. That's right. Everybody who's doing the negative ninny, Chicken Little for last night, oh my gosh, if you weren't doing it for Chicago or Portland, why the fuck would you be doing it for last night? Seriously. So just stop. Let's not overreact to anything. I'm not going to overreact to things from last night at all. I feel like we had a good showing considering the parameters of the situation. And that, I'm not going to get all crazy and on a ledge about what happened last night. No. In some ways, Philadelphia is a strong team. But boy, do they need the NBA's hand in helping hand to make sure, for sure, they're going to beat the Raptors. Y'all are so fucking scared of us that you got to schedule us on the second night of back-to-back against Nick Nurse and the Sixers 2 times in the first week of the season. Y'all are so scared of us. In some ways, that makes me feel like y'all respect us because you have to bury us by using the NBA schedule makers. It's messed up. Not only that, there was a little bit of ref manipulation last night, guys, for sure. Joel Embiid getting way more free throw attempts. He had as many as our whole team at the halftime. This has happened before. And then the amount of technicals that were called on the Raptors last night was ludicrous and stupid. Some of them were the dumbest technicals in the world. So Darko was mad because Scotty got fouled on a fast break play. And he did. And he didn't get a call. And he got a technical called on him after that. Well, y'all weren't calling half the shit. You call all this shit on us with Maxey and Embiid and the rest of the other team. And you don't call nothing for us. Well, Scotty's emerging. And y'all need to start giving him and ones. Especially because if they're taking cheap shots at him at the fast break when he's finishing and he finishes, you need to give him that extra free throw. Because that's what you're doing for the other team. So, yeah, the refs did not impress me last night. Mark Lindsay was not a nice family guy. And in some ways, they were helping to make sure the Sixers will win for sure. But, we didn't play well enough for sustaining for the whole game. There were times when our defense looked fantastic, and we suffocated the Sixers' offense. And that is actually really impressive and a good sign. We have one of the best defenses in the league. I know we do. And when we're locked in and we're working together and we're rotating together and we're really on it, nobody can score on us. This is just the damn truth. It's way better without Fred and with Dennis because that was that one piece that was kind of messing us up. Well, Dennis is bona fide badass, and the way they were funneling Maxey helped. They actually did a better job on Maxey last night than on Saturday. And, there's all kinds of stuff with our defense that is really, really, really good. And our offense looked good for a lot of the game last night, too. There was a lot of good cutting and stuff. A little bit less of that weird, being hesitant to shoot it, but it was still there. And especially later in the game, there was one possession where they passed the ball around so much. It looked like a hot potato game. And Scott, you get that open shot, take it. You'd made an extra pass when you were open, and it was really, really bad. So there's still some of that going on, where they're not recognizing where the best shot is, and they're making an extra pass when the best shot was supposed to be taken. And I know in particular that one where you got left at the threes, when you guys passed around so much, you should have shot it instead of passing it again, Scott. There's a couple of times where guys were hesitant to shoot it, and it bugs me. Late in the game, Siakam, Trent, and Barnes all shied away from taking open threes, and you can't do that, gentlemen. Just because you're not shooting well, Gary, doesn't mean you need to be scared of shooting. And Siakam, don't be afraid to step up and take that big shot. I don't know if he's doing something where it's like, y'all need to make your threes. And if you don't, he's looking at the stats, and then the coach talks to you about it afterwards. Don't be hesitant to shoot threes, y'all, because late last night in the game, y'all were passing it away from you yourselves because you didn't want the responsibility of taking the threes. And I know it because I saw y'all doing that last night. Don't do that shit. Gary, what is your job on this team? I don't give a fuck if you're 1 for 20. You need to shoot threes no matter what and forget that you missed all those other ones. Because damn, man, I'm really worried about you. When you've played like this before, it's because you've been underlyingly sick and didn't tell nobody. I'm wondering if you're sick right now. There's some sort of weird sick period you're in right now that's made you so low energy and weird, missing your free throws and shooting such a poor percentage right now. What the fuck is wrong with you, Gary Trent Jr. right now? Seriously, lock in, get better and feel better, please, because I don't like seeing how you're doing out there. It's scaring me. It's scaring my fantasy team, and it's also scaring me as far as like how are you going to help the Raptors bench scoring if you can't score? And don't just tell me he needs to start to fix the problem. That's the dumbest solution for this. We cannot have him start right now. Dennis is too good in the starting lineup. And in some ways, we really need Gary to step up and be that sixth man and start scoring off the bench. He's supposed to be instant offense off the bench. And right now, he's scared to shoot. And we can't have that. We cannot have that, Gary Trent. We need you to wake up. We need you to get better. Get that orange juice and get that extra hour of sleep, bro. Please, because I see you languishing and kind of playing scared right now. And I don't like seeing that from you, man. I really don't. Evelyn's here. Good to see Granny Evelyn. Good morning, fam. Good morning to you, Evelyn. I hope you were well. Hope Prince Toussaint is giving you the good vibes and that baby Candace is in your near future. That's what I hope for you, Evelyn. Trevor J saying Nick Nurse knows how to stop Pascal, making it hard for him to score. Darko has to find more easier ways for him to score. Yes, this is important. Anybody wants to talk about Siakam and last night, and we will talk about him right now. You got to remember, Nick Nurse's calling card as a coach is one of the things he loves to do the most is stop the superstar on the other team. If he's going to play the Denver Nuggets, he's figuring out what he can do with Jokic specifically. And one of the main things that Nick used to do with his philosophy with the Raptors, and I know because we talked and we studied him for so long, is that he would figure out ways to not even let the star player on the other team touch the ball. So there's a lot of like coverage of Siakam in particular that is really just trying to not encourage him having the ball touching his hand in any kind of way. This is just the basic defensive strategy of Nick Nurse against top players that he plays against. Well, he's using it against a guy he knows really, really well. And also, you got to understand, Nick knows all of Pascal's weaknesses from coaching him for so long. So that's part of the reason why Siakam has had two kind of dud games against the Sixers in particular. And it's signified by how many shot attempts he gets. He got 8 on Saturday, and y'all freaked out. Why is Siakam only shooting 8 shots? Well, he got 11 last night, and that's not his quota. He should be getting more. And only 10 points? Well, realize that's a big part of it, that Nick Nurse would key on our main guy, and that is Pascal. In some ways, he can't key on Scotty because Scotty's going to a new level that he doesn't even know because Scotty's better than he was last year when Nick was coaching him. And some of the stuff Scotty was doing at the beginning of the game is stuff that Nick was like, oh, crap, now he's getting into that stuff. I knew he would, and I was hoping he would with me. But now I'm seeing Scotty blossom and get to new levels of stardom and power on an NBA court. And in some ways, he can't prep for that because he ain't never seen it before. He can prep for Siakam. That's for damn sure. My 3 stars of the game are, my first star is actually OG, guys. I could have picked Scott. It's really, really close, but I wanted to pick OG, and there's a reason. I'm going to tell you why right now. OG was 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He had 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and a block. He did have 3 turnovers. He was a +5, one of the few pluses on our team with 16 points. But you know the other side of the ball is why I want to pick OG. We saw in this game last night the versatility and the truth about how good a defender OG is. We saw at a certain section of the game, he was chasing Tyrese Maxey around, one of the most difficult people to guard in this league. And you saw him keeping up with him, containing him to a degree, completely shadowing him. When he got the guard on Maxey, he was actually stopping Maxey to a degree. In fact, Maxey did not go off in this game like he did on Saturday. He did score some points, and he did play pretty well. But he wasn't like he was on Saturday. He only had 18 points last night. He had over 30 on Saturday night. So Maxey 7 of 16. Look at that. He missed all 3 of his threes. We're hoping for that. 1 rebound, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a turnover. He was a +6 also. So him and OG were both +6s, and 18 points only for Maxey. I'm going to tell you right now, a big part of that is OG. OG took some time to really clamp down on plumb on Tyrese Maxey, and he slowed him down, and it really helped. But by the end of the game, with only one center because our guys are hurt, Precious and Koloko, Scotty had to guard Embiid at times. Siakam had to guard Embiid at times, and so did OG. We saw OG guarding the two most powerful Sixers at different times in the game last night, and it just shows how badass and amazing he is as a defender. There literally was a section of the game where he was on Embiid, and he bodied him, he physically played him strong, and he even blocked him in one of his shot attempts. So I love you, OG. You proved what you said. You can guard 1 through 5. People say, oh, he can't guard 1. Well, look at what he fucking did with Maxey last night. And you tell me if he can't guard 1 through 5. One of the most difficult ones to guard and one of the most difficult 5s to guard. And he was on both of them last night. So OG Anunoby, you're my first star of the game last night for an efficient offensive game that came to you in the flow of the game, along with some stellar, masterful defensive work on the two top Sixer stars. Really, really impressive. There is not many people in this league that can do that kind of a switch from Maxey to Embiid defensively in this league. And OG is one of the very few. We love you, man. Of course, Scotty coming out gangbusters last night and absolutely dominating the first quarter from a good part of it. And we love you, Scott, for that. That was amazing. And I hope you will do this more and more in the future. Of course, there were periods of time in the game where Scott wasn't as strong and he disappeared a little bit. But hey, I'm not upset because this man's doing more and more dominating for more and more of the game. His conditioning's getting better. He's getting more used to it. He's figuring out more and more just how much he has to do to make sure the Raptors will win. And in some ways, he was in an uphill battle last night, no matter what. And I like the dog in his fight and him coming out and kicking major ass right away. He's making everybody realize he's a real one. And he's really, really is coming to be one of the top stars in the NBA. Common NBA fan in the States who doesn't get to watch the Raptors has their eyes open. He's doing so good right now that everybody down south is starting to come around and say, yeah, Scotty's him. He is a real bona fide big time player coming. Because they, old head basketball heads like me and Chev, you can just see what he's doing and say, oh my God, this guy is like doing Kawhi shit. This guy is doing Kawhi shit. Because he did Kawhi shit last night. You get in the lane with his big body and he just kind of lofts it up over people. It may roll around a little bit on top of the rim, but it drops in. And that's Kawhi shit. We said this rookie year, and people laughed at me. I saw the signs in his fingerprint as an NBA player that this man can do Kawhi shit. And some people were like, don't get ahead of yourself. Or like, oh, you just gonna say that? I'm like, he literally can do Kawhi shit. And he's going to. He's already started doing it this year. As far as the overpowering low post performance of Scotty is unstoppable. And then it's not just that, it's two-way, just like Kawhi. He can do all the stealing and blocking and defensive kind of plays that Kawhi does also. And he can be very, very overpowering that way. In some ways, Scotty could be, hopefully, God willing, the healthy Kawhi for his whole career. He could maybe discover what Kawhi could have been if he wasn't on the shelf half the time. So, yeah, I'm excited about what Scott's showing. We want to discover more. I wish him good luck, good health, and good things coming to him in all kinds of ways. This man is an all-star. He's going to be on the all-star team. Some people say, oh, he'll have to get voted on. Well, let's vote him on. The man is so good, and the rest of the NBA will start recognizing it. And even Johnny down in Arizona or in Mississippi or over in Oregon, wherever in the United States, will undeniably think he's a top guy. Vince Carter, when he came up in the Raptors and he showed he was another level of talent and he was electrifying and he did all this and he did all that, he was undeniably an all-star. And in fact, he was the most popular all-star. He would beat Jordan in the all-star votes in the early 2000s. And Scotty, in some ways, has the potential to become an overwhelmingly popular player in the league. And it doesn't matter if he plays for the Raptors or not, just like Vince. And he will get voted into the All-Star game. I'm going to tell you that right now, especially the Raptor fans really start supporting him and putting him on blast. The rest of the league will notice. Y'all need to watch Raptor games because they're entertaining, NBA fans south of the border. They may block us out and maybe not encourage you guys to watch us, but we're fun to watch and you will enjoy it. I'll tell you right now. That's right. Evelyn's saying, thanks, Trevor J, for that words of wisdom. Anyway, to be honest, as per Lex, our loss is a scheduled loss. We'll come back stronger and do better. Let's go Raps. That's right, Granny Evelyn. And I hope you'll make it to our Raptor Freak Hangout in 2 weeks on the 16th of November. We'll be meeting at the Real Jerk at Carlaw and Gerard and having some fun. Tom Duke coming to town from British Columbia and some other Raptor Freaks meeting up and having some good food and karaoke and good times hanging out. So I hope you can make it, Evelyn. I know you might be able to. David's saying, I really thought OG gave Embiid a concussion. Too bad. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting hit that happened in that moment. It was kind of a sandwich. You had Jakob on one side pushing force on Embiid, and then OG also. You see how strong a man OG is. He really, really is a strong guy. And Embiid crumbled in that moment. And I know Joel felt it. He felt strong. He didn't get up very quick, but he did get hit hard in that moment. And I know that David was smiling when that happened. I know he was. Top of Top saying, good morning, Raptors family. I didn't hear much scheduled loss talk in the years leading up to the chip and the years post chip. Every team has multiple back-to-backs where they're just getting ours early. You know what? I'm done with you, Top of Top. I'm about fucking done with you. Seriously, you cannot fucking see this. You know, if it was one back-to-back where the Philly was going to get the second night of a back-to-back in the beginning of the season, I'd say, okay, I'm okay with that. That's one. But they were greedy, and they did two of them this season. And Top of Top, I'm fucking done with you, man. I'm just sick of you, bro. I'm kicking you out. I'm done with you, bro, because I don't trust you. I really don't trust you. And I think that you're full of shit. Honestly, I don't think you are actually a Raptors fan. I think that you're coming in here, either you're a Penn-Sarite and you're going to toe his bullshit line, or you're going to come in here and you're going to act like you're a Raptors fan, but you're actually a fan of another team and you think you're trolling us. So fuck off, Top of Top. I'm done with you. I've just been really watching you. And this comment right here, if you cannot see what I'm saying right now and you think that I'm just making excuses, fuck you. Because you know that we had no chance to win that game last night with the way they set up the travel and the way that they gave them 3 days rest leading up to it. So yeah, I'm done, Top of Top. I don't even want to hear you anymore. I don't want to see you anymore. I don't want none of this. This is where your hill that you go. And I know this is a small hill, but yeah, you can say we're making excuses. No, we made excuses back then. You just never talked to me back then. You weren't around me back then. I was looking at the schedule and the refs back then and making excuses that you don't like to take. But this is just the damn truth. How can you not see this right now? That there's a scheduled loss last night and a scheduled loss for Saturday because of travel and back-to-backs. It's very, very calculated. And, you know, people with their eyes open can see it. If you want to be that kind of person, say no excuses, that's fine. You can do that. But if you're not opening your eyes to the reality of what is happening, then you're fooling yourself. And as far as this, I'm not wasting my time with your bullshit anymore. You've been dubiously against Siakam right now. And now you're telling me that I'm making excuses for what happened? No, this is bullshit. This is a legitimate excuse for why the Raptors are going to lose no matter what. Now, if you're going to come in here and say, oh, they need to win and overcome it anyway, well, I wish they could or they would. But in this case, it's not happening. And in some ways, we have to be real about the parameters of this game that happened last night. And if you're going to come in and say, oh, they just whatever, I'm just done, man. I'm done. I might read a couple more of your deleted comments, but seriously, I'm just done, man. I don't really want your presence in this channel anymore. Let's just put it that way. I'm just done. Let's see. Dana saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Dana. And I'll read another one of his comments. Let's see. A sustained effort is possible with the dog mentality. Scotty had it early, but seemed to look like different players after he rolled his ankle. I actually thought P would come out harder. Yeah, whatever. You're done, Top of Top. And they love it, apparently. People love that I kicked you out. Let's see. Monique is saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Pulling for Gary. I am too. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm done. I'm not even going to read his stuff. I don't care what he thinks. I really don't. In some ways, I feel like he's Pencer's voice in here. And I don't want Pencer's voice in here. He can fuck off. G saying, yes, Top, but they had 2 back-to-backs in 6 games. And even the chip year, they had games where they were blown out and lost. Sixers had like 4 days of rest and a game plan. Yeah. And Top of Top doesn't know what I was saying back then. He doesn't know around the championship. Maybe I was on the ends and knew about this kind of shit then too. And the common fan is not going to look at this kind of shit because they're just not looking that in depth. So, man, don't even act like we weren't talking about this or this. I don't know who you were talking to. My circles, we talked about this kind of shit back then, them being unfair to us and the schedule and shit. I can't do this anymore. I'm just done. I'm just done with him. Trevor's saying Victor put on another show last night while they beat the Phoenix Suns. That's fantastic. Listen, I love this. Once again, I love being right. I told y'all in the middle of the summer, the Spurs are going to win way more than people think. And it's signified by Victor taking over the game last night and absolutely being the man. Kevin Durant says he's in his own lane and that nobody else in this league is like Victor. And Victor is going to be changing. He's the truth. He's the truth. He's the real deal Holyfield. 38 points last night, y'all. It took him 5 games to get 38 points in the NBA and absolutely crush the Phoenix Suns 2 games in a row on their own home court in front of the brand new owner and all the new toys and the new players and Devin Booker coming back last night. It didn't matter. The Spurs still kicked their ass, and Victor was leading them to it. I love this so much. I'm so proud of Spurs Nation, and I know that Victor is going to continue to do this year, and a lot of the experts who thought that San Antonio wouldn't be good this year are having to change their opinion because they're showing that they're ready to win now, and I knew they were. I knew they were. As soon as this young man was going to show up, they were going to be kicking some major ass, and they are. Yeah, Monique is saying Dennis's latest video. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Yeah, Dennis is awesome. I love that he got it out so quick after the Milwaukee game. We seen, all right, this is what happened on Dennis's video that he dropped yesterday. He went to a place to go. First of all, he's talking about his Halloween costume. And then Ellen was naming things. You could be a police officer. And he's like, hell no, I don't want to be a cop. And I know why. Dennis has been harassed by police at various times in his life. And it's unfortunately partly because of his skin color. It's just the damn truth. I've seen some of the clips on his channel of him being harassed by the police in Los Angeles while he was playing for the Lakers just last year. So it's like this racism thing doesn't go away, especially when you have the pigmentation that Dennis has. And boy, is he like, she's saying like, you could be a cop. And he's like, I don't want to be a cop. No. And then she said, you could be a black man. He's like, well, I don't need a costume to be a black man. It's kind of hilarious, that whole part. So they're kind of talking about who Dennis should dress up as. In fact, Dennis wasn't having Halloween, honestly. In some ways, Alex and Joel wanted to go out and go partying on Halloween night, the night before our Milwaukee game. But Dennis was like, we've lost 3 games in a row. And I can't go out and celebrate when it's like this. He really is kind of like, it's either like he's punishing himself, like, oh, I can't do anything because we lost. Or he's also like, you know what? I don't want to go out and act like I'm having a good time. And people perceive like I don't give a shit about the Raptors losing right now. I love you, Dennis. And you doing that on that show. And I'm like, look, Alex and Joel, you may want him to go out with y'all to the Halloween parties, but he can't because he knows that he lost and he's punishing himself. Seriously. In some ways, that's how it felt in that moment. And I can't fault him. And in some ways, that's a really good way to motivate yourself. Some of these NBA players that go so easily after a loss to like the strip clubs and they just don't give a fuck. And they're like, woo, I don't want those guys on my team. I want the guys like Dennis that are like, fuck, we just lost 3 games in a row. And I cannot go out and enjoy myself because I'm pissed that we lost. That's basically what it is with Dennis right there. Then we see Dennis going somewhere for an appointment, and my friend Brent is in the scene. He's like, there's some sort of producer, and they're filming for a documentary on the German team's big victory this summer. And Brent is there. He's like, hi, this is my friend Brent, or this is Brent. And I'm like, I know Brent. He's Facebook friends with me. So I messaged him after I saw him on Dennis's thing, and he gave me a little bit of the down low on what was happening with that. They're filming a documentary, as I said, on Team Germany. And he doesn't know the whole big project. He was just there as a PA assistant to help film that part. He's kind of helping with the lights and stuff like that. But he said Dennis was cool as hell. And they filmed this on Halloween, y'all, on Tuesday. And he got to be around Dennis for a couple hours. And he just said he was a really, really nice guy. And he really is just who he is on his videos and YouTube. How can he fake that? If he's going to film stuff like that, that is who he is. We see Dennis on the YouTube. That's Dennis. But yeah, it was cool to talk to Brent. my friend who's in the YouTube, Dennis's latest YouTube, and asked him about meeting Dennis on Halloween. He said he's a very, very cool guy. And he doesn't really know a whole lot about the project they were working on, except for the little bit that he was working on that with Dennis. Very, very cool stuff. And then we see Dennis get whisked away over to Mississauga to Batia's latest and newest Hyundai dealership. And it's really cool. It's got all kinds of crazy new stuff in it, like a crazy handless bathroom and desk. And Dennis is loving the style that Nav has. And he's like, I want my office to look like this. And Nav is telling him, your big truck that you ride around in, when you need that serviced, call me. I'll bring it in and service it here at my dealership. And then he also gave him a car. Nav Bhatia straight up gave him a Genesis, a Hyundai Genesis, top of the line car for Dennis and Ellen to drive to and from the game. And it's, as Dennis said, a sponsored car. Well, listen, this is what we do with these Raptors and Superfan. These guys come here for 1 year, 2 year contracts. They don't want to have a car on the Canadian side of the border for like bought outright just in case. Nav will lease it to them. And sometimes I don't even think he charges them. He may be just like, here's a car. Here's a car, Dennis. Here you go. Here's a brand new Genesis, top of the line new car. Take it home. Boom. So there, Dennis's content. And of course, they go over the Milwaukee win and the happiness and the highlights from that too. So yeah, great stuff. Dennis Schroeder with your YouTube. Keep going. We really appreciate the extra inside content on things. We really, really do. It's awesome. It's so good. All right, let's keep going. Thank you, Monique, for bringing that up. And as always, we love you, Monique, Superfan Lawrence. You are the best. G saying they don't have the depth to sustain back-to-backs. Depth helps with tough schedules. I'll agree with this. A big part of things is our bench. If we had better bench, we wouldn't have lulls in the game where we start losing leads or the team starts beating our ass. And then also in a back-to-back situation where we need depth to help us with tiredness, that would help too. In some ways, I've seen Darko has a really weird philosophy. He's not bringing guys in very quickly. You think about how long it took for him to get these old vets in. Thaddeus finally getting in the game last night for the first time this season. Garrett Temple getting a spot of coffee. And, Otto played for the first time in the last game. Well, we haven't seen any of the two ways play at all yet this season in the least. And in some ways, Nick Nurse last year would get those two ways out there immediately at the beginning of the season and just give them a taste of the NBA already. But no, we haven't seen Marquise Noel make his debut. Javon Freeman Liberty hasn't played any minutes for the Raptors yet, and neither has Ron Harper. So that's interesting to me that he's not even mining those levels of our roster yet right now. I don't know what his plan is with that. In some ways, I wish he had maybe played some of the two ways to fill out some of the energy that we might have need after 2 games in a row like that. So yeah, I can see what you're saying, G. Let's see. All right, keep on going. Let's see who's Tom Duke is next in the chat. Let's see what Tom Dukey Duke is saying here. La 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 la. Okay, Tom Duke's saying schedule loss or not, Darko ain't making excuses, and Scotty definitely is still hungry. Victor had another good game, and the Spurs beat the Suns again. So let's just get focused. Yeah. I mean, it's one game at a time. Now we got to wait. See, this is a crazy thing. They jam up all these games, and now we have 2 games, 2 days in between games. And this is another thing that's insidious about the schedule. It's basically we're getting 2 days off in between games, but we're on the road. That the other teams in the league may get these great, nice times off, like the Sixers just got. They played at home second night of the back-to-back on Sunday against Portland. And well, they didn't have to travel anywhere from Sunday till the game against us last night. So they got 3 days off at home, in their homes, around their home gyms and stuff like that. Meanwhile, we're going to get these extra practice days and days off away from our facility, away from Toronto. It's not like they left Philadelphia last night and came back to Toronto last night. They may have, but I don't think they did. If they did, then that's great. But no, I think they went straight to San Antonio. And they're in San Antonio. They may not go into San Antonio last night. They stayed overnight in Philly. This is what I'm guessing. And had a good night's sleep in the hotel room. And they'll have a travel day today to go to San Antonio during the day today and sleep in San Antonio 2 nights before they actually play on Sunday. It's like it's screwed up. They're giving them rest days, but they're not rest days at home. They're giving them like extra 2 days between all these games. San Antonio, Dallas, and Boston next week, and it's on the road. It's just annoying in some ways. I feel like it's annoying. Let's see. Tom Duke's saying Philly played well. Us, nope, but we can be way better. Philly will regress. Now, I don't even think that's true, Tom. I don't think that we didn't play bad. I thought we played very well last night for most of the game. We were hanging with them. We did a good job in the first half. In fact, we were beating them to an extent in certain ways. Now, some things were annoying, like Kelly Oubre. That was very annoying. Kelly and Oubre was very annoying last night. But in some ways, we didn't get beat by their big, powerful people. And Joel's good too. He was very good last night too. Let's see. G's also saying, not saying they won't develop or get the depth, but as of now, the starters are carrying a heavy load. They knew the schedule ahead of time, but still had two other games to game plan for. Okay, so I'm not totally understanding what G's saying exactly here. Well, this has been the case for a couple years now with the Raptors on the down low. Our starters, in some ways, and this is why Nick Nurse would do the way he thinks he did without playing the bench. There is a drop off between our starters and our bench, for sure, a talent drop off. And in some ways, the coach's job is to mitigate that drop off by mixing and matching highly skilled, top tier, talented starters with role players off the bench. And the problem is when the coach puts in too many of the role players off the bench at once without enough top tier talent to keep them going offensively and keep them playing at a high level defensively also. So that's part of the problem. And we've had mixed results with what Darko's done so far. I feel like he's done a better job at this than Nick in past years. There's been way too many times Nick put a horrible, horrible bench lineup out there and absolutely destroyed us. Now, Darko's had that happen too this year, but it hasn't been as bad. In fact, I feel like he's been smarter about keeping either Siakam or Barnes on the court this year than Nick was last year. So in some ways, you see the teams are kind of balanced in a way like it'll be Siakam and Pirtle with Gary, and then it'll be Grady and Malachi. And that's good because you got two established starters and he's pairing guys. You can really tell he's pairing guys. Like Siakam and Pirtle are really playing a lot together, if you notice. And then like you'll see like a pair off the bench like Jalen and Malachi because they're paired together. But it's cool that he's pairing people together. And it's kind of like the formula for the bench minutes is have two starters, a player like Gary, who's really kind of a pseudo, could be a starter or bench, and then two regular bench guys. And those kind of lineups are fine. They seem like they have enough quality to them and talent to them that they can hang with whoever we're playing. And that's a big important part right there. Yeah. All right, I Don't Bite's here. Let's see. He's smiling and he's saying, "Good game, Raptor Freak." And thank you, I Don't Bite, for the super chats. That's very kind of you to tip me after a loss to you guys. Yeah, listen. I can listen. I'll hold my head high in a loss, and congratulations to you guys. You guys have a really good start to your season, and let's see how the season goes. You got rid of Harden. You're checking off some things on your checkbox to get going and get moving this season. And if I was a Sixers fan, I'd feel very enthusiastic about the season with your new prospects, with your new coach. So yeah, I can get behind that with you, man. I can get behind that with you, and you know what? I won't be a bad guy here. Yeah. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm just skipping top today. I'm not even gonna read his shit because honestly, I don't think it's necessary today because in some ways I feel like he's gonna overreact. Tom Duke saying for sure, lots to figure out. Yep, Diakam is indeed focused. What's Diakam? Tom Duke saying need to be better for sure. I don't know who needs to be better. Nick Nurse keyed on Siakam and kind of tried to stop him for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of things there that's not just like so simple. Randolph saying, "Good morning, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Greetings from Montreal, Quebec. Lex, just as it said yesterday, when our guys are in foul trouble, they get out of character. Refs know this. They start playing in their head. They start worrying about like touch fouls. They start worrying about contact, and they don't play as aggressive or with enough abandon that they can do everything crazy or to their power on defense. Sure, there is some containment in that way. Now, I don't know. The refs, to me, weren't totally horrible. I didn't like the technicals. I didn't like the free throw discrepancy. But in some ways, I don't know. Once again, I'm blaming the schedule makers more than the refs. And in some ways, I'm not even going to touch the refs. I know that they did have a factor in some shaping of the game, but for the most part, it really is the schedule makers on this one. It absolutely is. It really is. I don't bite saying Oubre Jr.'s first game implemented in the starting lineup. He played well. Scotty is really stepping up. See, this is a nice comment by I don't bite. He's recognizing a great young player on his team and also one on ours. And Oubre being in the starting lineup's an interesting look. I kind of like him off the bench for you guys. He's kind of like our Gary Trent. You're Gary Trent. And they're both pretty boys that hit a lot of threes. Well, our pretty boy that's supposed to hit threes wasn't winning that battle against your pretty boy who hits threes. And that's too bad. So, yeah, pretty boy battles in threes. Kelly Oubre beat Gary Trent Jr. on that one. Yeah. But, yeah, thank you for recognizing the powers of Scott that are coming up very quickly. And, yeah, Oubre's annoying, man. I really am annoyed by him. He did the clap the other day at us at the game. He did it directly at where I was sitting because we were all trying to mess him up on the free throw line. He did the clap. And then, him being so good from three last night was really annoying, and he was a big key. If he got any kind of open, he was hitting it. 8 for 13 from the field for Oubre Jr., 5 of 6 from three, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 23 points, a +8. Yeah, he was a huge key in this game, especially with Maxey kind of getting toned down. Him and Tobias Harris really stepped up and helped carry the Sixers last night. Harris was really good early. It was kind of like a Harris versus Barnes first quarter. It's crazy. Our first quarter, we have Scotty come out and dominate, and then we have a dry spot for 3 minutes. No scoring at all in the first quarter. Crazy game of different ups and downs. I don't bite. Appreciate you being respectful. Jimmy Pope's here. Good to see the Pope of positivity. I'm sick of seeing players do whatever they want and not get punished. Embiid can just barrel into our players and manufacture fake contact and still get labeled babied by the officials. Those OG calls. Yeah, in particular, what the hell is Jakob Poeltl supposed to do if that guy drops his shoulder and just barrels into him? Like, seriously, refs. Like, you're giving this guy carte blanche. And this is the thing that's crazy about this. That man has all the advantages in the world because of his body shape and size. And y'all act like he's like 5'11", 200 pounds. Like, seriously, you act like he's just a little dude. The way you baby him. This is so true what Jimmy's saying. That, like, look, what is Jakob supposed to do on defense? He's impossible to guard because y'all let him offensive foul everybody. Seriously, he comes running in the lane like his arm and he hits Jakob to the ground. What is that supposed to be called? How are you supposed to guard that? The man is not fouling him. He's running into him himself. It's not like Jakob run up and hit him on the arm. No. Embiid's literally barreling into Jakob, putting him on his ass on the floor, and you're calling a foul on Jakob and giving an and one to Joel. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely crazy. And Jimmy's right. The way they are officiating Embiid is unreasonable, unfair, and messed up. They need to start calling him better. He's hard to referee. Let's just put it that way. Players like him and Shaq are hard to referee because they're so big and so strong. But in some ways, you can't act like he's a feather and he's a baby and he's delicate. You can't. I'm sorry, you just can't. Nameless is saying, you see how the refs are with Embiid. Another 25 free throws for Embiid. Yeah, let's look at Embiid's stats real quick about that. Embiid did get 13 free throws. How many free throws did the Raptors get altogether? 19. So we just got 6 more free throws than him in the whole game. In fact, our starters got less free throws than him. We got 11 free throws from our starters, including 0 for OG or Pascal, only 4 free throws for Scotty, 6 for Schroeder, and then Embiid gets 13 himself. 13 free throws for Embiid, 11 for our whole and starting lineup. That's messed up. That is messed up. Sue's here. Good to see. Play it again, Sue, guys. Sue does a music reaction channel on YouTube, and I'd like y'all to follow her. Play it again, Sue. Reacting to the oldies and the newies and some good stuff in between. That's right. Play it again, Sue, with Chelsea. Definitely give her a subscription and check out her music reactions. Good morning, Raptor Freaks family. Tough loss, but we just need to brush it off and keep working. We have some work to do, but we will get there. Lots of talent on this team. That's right. Keep going, and good things are going to keep happening. There's going to be surprising wins. There's going to be disappointing losses. Hopefully, there'll be more great wins than losses. is what I'm looking for, Sue. Always happy to see you in the chat, Sue. I wish you the best. Nako's here. Good to see my good friend Gerald. Gerald, I love you, man. I hope you're doing really well and you got good comedy shows coming up. School's going good for you, man. Nako's saying Scotty still looks pretty good. Love the first half, like the third quarter. Fourth, pleased with what I'm seeing from Malachi. All right, well, you want to go look at Malachi real quick? Let's see what Malachi did last night. Last night, actually, Malachi wasn't bad. Gerald's right. 6 points on 2 of 5 shooting. He was 2 of 3 from 3. When he got those open threes, he nailed them with confidence for the most part. And I'm very happy about that. I'll take 2 of 3, Malachi, because you hit some threes. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, a -8. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not horrible to me. That's not horrible to me at all. I didn't do my third star of the game yet. It's Dennis Schroeder. Dennis got a double-double, 13 points, 10 assists, 4 of 9 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, a steal, 10 to 3 assist to turnover ratio. Dennis Schroeder's my third star of the game. So my 3 stars are OG, Scotty, and Dennis for the game last night. You know, there was just a little bit too weird stuff with Jakob and kind of stumbly stuff in some ways. And then Siakam in some ways got really overshadowed by Nick and not able to operate like normal, because I'm sure he was the main part of their defensive scheme. I'm going to tell you that right now, y'all. Whatever top of top's bullshit was, that's my answer, is that Nick Nurse made him the main part of his defensive scheme. So, yeah, whatever he was going to slag Siakam on, I don't care. I don't even want to hear it. I knew he was going to do that today. That's part of the reason why I'm kicking him out. Nameless is saying, total ref manipulation again. It's so obvious. I hope Philly enjoys these empty calorie victories. Listen, we're in a different place with our franchise at this point. In some ways, look, it's not that we want to expect to lose, but in some ways, the Sixers are in a different place and we're in a different place. And we just got to be okay with it right now. Doesn't mean things can't change again down the road where things go bad for them and things get better for us. So let's just be all right. It's just a being present. And right now it is the way it is. But over time, things could get a lot better and we'll just have to be patient. But for right now, in some ways, we're not a rival looking them straight in the eye. In some ways, we're an underdog when we play them. And it's going to be tougher to beat them this year. That's just what it is. Now, it'll be interesting. We don't play the Sixers again until December. And then the next time we play them is in the fall, in the spring. So we do have a couple of spread out games with them. And seeing us against them at the different times in the season will be very interesting. Some people will say, well, later in the season, they'll probably have their shit together better in April. But we don't know what could happen by then. And in some ways, we may have our shit way better together by then. And it's a more equal match by then. So it's all like watermark gauging. Where are we with the Sixers right now? And in some ways, I'm not totally upset with how we compete with them and how we play with them, considering where we're at with a new coach and starting over with a new system. So, yeah, there's good things going on right now. Yeah, Nako says the texts were BS. I agree. And I don't bite. Thank you again for we're going to celebrate your first super on a live stream. There you go, buddy. Thank you for your first super on a live stream ever. That means he's never tipped anybody ever. This is what a nice Sixers fan giving me money on a day after the Sixers beat the Raptors. Wow. G saying Scotty was the most aggressive and had 2 free throws the entire first half. Notice how Nurse doesn't need to cry to refs anymore. The league is full of shit. He was still whining and complaining at times. I saw Nick get indignant with them a little bit, but it wasn't on the same level. And we were the ones who were getting the texts. And Darko says one thing about Scotty getting fouled on a break and not getting the N1, and the ref gives him a tech. Yeah, that's messed up. That's messed up in some ways. I like JT Orr. I really do. I think he's a good ref, and he was fine to a degree. But Mark Lindsay's dubious, and Evan Scott is a little bitch. Let's just put it that way. Evan Scott's a little bitch. Yeah. But yeah, Scotty being so aggressive, you'd think he'd get to the free throw line just a little bit more. Hello. And you know what? He did kind of get a superstar call the other day. So I know the refs are starting to think about giving him superstar calls. Start giving them M1s. He deserves it. He needs them. Jimmy's saying, never in my life I've seen a game with 4 3-second calls on one team, laughing my ass off. Yeah, the defensive 3-second calls. Well, on one of them, Siakam did get caught in no man's land. But yeah, it's kind of screwy. There was some weird stuff. Definitely some weird stuff. Take foul should have been called at one point. Stuff like that. You know, that kind of thing. All right, let's see. Excuse me. Kareem saying, "Aw, someone deleted my colorful message about Joel Embiid." Anyways, long story short, Embiid is a bitch. 8 for 22 shooting with 28 points. Tell me there isn't any free throw disparity. There was definitely. And Kareem, where is your deleted message? I think that was YouTube. You may have used such colorful language. They didn't like your cussing, and I don't know, because none of the mods would mod you for that. I know I didn't. So maybe try it again. I want to experiment with this. Maybe you're getting censored by YouTube straight up. Your colorful message. I want to know what colors were in that message. I'll bet there were beautiful colors of profanity. Yeah, I want to know what colors they were. Nameless is saying the good news is they can't bury us forever. We must have to stay around 500 past November. Whatever, what is whatever. Listen, I'm taking it as it comes. In some ways, I have no expectations for our team this year. And whatever happens, I'm just going to be pleasantly happy being a Raptors fan, having a team, and being able to cheer for them. When they win, I'll be excited. When they lose, I'll be sad. But in some ways, I don't really have anything other than what I said. If they do better than last year, I'll consider this year a success. If they don't, then it's a downgrade from last year, and we have more work to do. But if it's close to last year and it's just slightly worse, then I won't be that upset. But if we're like a 300 team, yeah, I'm going to be upset. So I really do want them to stick around 500, if not over 500. If it's just slightly under 500 this season, I'll kind of take it, but I won't be happy. I really do want to improve from last year. I want to get at least 42 wins, is what I'm saying. Yeah. All right, let's see. Isaac's saying, away and away we grow. Tom Duke's saying 100%. This is part of the process. That's right. G saying in 2019, the Raps had a very solid bench mob that can beat starters. In my opinion, the bench needs to be the focus to strengthen. I can't disagree with this. In some ways, this is true. We need to get more out of these guys. And the part of the problem is that Nick starved our development system for the last 3 or 4 years. People can say it's the front office's fault, but it isn't. It's Nick's fault for not giving enough quality to guys like Malachi. And it's whatever. In some ways, maybe that's where the area where Bobby and Masai need to concentrate and switch people out. Forget about the starters. Let's keep them as much as possible. And let's start making differences and maybe really smart, savvy moves with the bench players. In some ways, I worry that part of the problem is that people like Robert Covington, KJ Martin, Marcus Morris that just came to the Sixers, they're guys that fill out benches. Not enough of these kind of guys want to come and play in Toronto is part of the problem, I feel like. I know I'm bringing up an old fucking thing that people used to say. But in some ways, I worry about this, that we can't get good veteran bench guys for partly because some of them think like Dame Lillard. And that's annoying to me. I hope that's not true. But sometimes I worry about that because I'd love to have a bench with guys like Robert Covington and Marcus Morris on it, stuff like that. That'd be good to have those kind of veterans on your bench instead of some of the guys that we have on our bench. Not our vets, but I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. We need to maybe like switch some of those spots in and out and upgrade those. And that's what G's saying. And I agree. Sue's saying, let's face it, the refs are really never on our side. That's not totally true, Sue. That's actually not true. We just have to be so much better than everyone else. It sucks. But if we have to be better than all the time, it will only benefit us in the end. That's exactly right. That's the way it is for everybody in life. The odds are stacked against you, and it's not fair. Life isn't fair. Still, people achieve against those odds, and they still get what they want. And that's the way we have to think with the mindset with the Raptors. It may not be fair, but life isn't fair. And some of y'all may have obstacles or privileges that either help or hurt you. And that's what I'm saying. You got to overcome it. In some ways, people won't give a shit about what you have to overcome extra that other people don't have to overcome. And you just got to put your head down and overcome it and kick ass anyway. And that's true. I said they're never on our side. That's not true because I've seen the refs be on our side before. It just is a special situations with the opponent and certain things. They will actually try and help us win sometimes. They will. We had a game like that recently. In fact, they were trying to help us win Chicago when we still didn't win. That was kind of messed up. Nako's saying, I want to see more Scotty at center. He's probably our best backup with Koloko and Precious out. Yes. No, Nako's noticing this. Once again, I really think of position by what you do on the offensive end or who you guard. And Scotty's guarding Embiid last night. In some ways, you're exactly right, Gerald. without Precious and Koloko, he is our backup center right now. And he's taken that job and he loves it. You see how physical he would get with Embiid, and he has enough strength to kind of guard Embiid to a certain extent. So, yeah, Scotty is a defensive center. It's a crazy thing. He's been this since his first year, and people don't recognize him for his versatility in that. That this dude is playing center, and he's also trying to guard Maxey, just like OG. Just like OG. And he did get time with both of them also. It's just I saw OG get stops on both those guys at different times in the game. And Scotty did okay. He had to guard Maxey and Embiid at times also. And he did a good job. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and a happy Friday. Slightly disappointed about the inconsistent performance, but I am trusting the journey. Yeah. Once again, the late stuff can be blamed on fatigue. Around the end of the third quarter, in the beginning of the fourth quarter, that's when that back-to-back starts hitting. And that really is right around where they kind of separated from us fully. And it just kind of was like, okay, this is out of hand and it's not going to be anything. It's really, really hard. Like G said, with no backups that are giving you enough time and energy to win and help. And your starters are so relied upon. In fact, in the game against Milwaukee, the starters played a good, huge chunk of the third quarter to help make sure that happened. Even last night in the third quarter, the starters played a good, huge chunk of the third quarter, and we did better in the third quarter because of it. But you're overplaying them in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, they're gassed. And this was something that happened with Nick and the Raptors a lot last year. I'd be pissed at him. I'd be saying, all right, in the third quarter, after the second night of back-to-back, you can't play your starters for the first 9 minutes of the third quarter. You really want to start thinking about pulling them at 4 minutes in or 5 minutes in, because then it's like you're not really exhausting them so early in the second half. And that's a real balance, because you're not wanting the game to get away from you, and you want to have the good, talented team out there to run with the Sixers at a level that's competing. And that's part of the problem right there. That's part of the problem right there, is balancing the tiredness, which is very, very a factor, with the quality of the players on the court to be able to compete at the highest level with the Sixers. It's a tough thing. And Nick was his philosophy was, I'm just going to overplay the starters, and that's how I'll deal with it. And the tired stuff is just going to be the problem. And that's that. So let's see. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptor Free crew. No need to get emotional over the game. Coach Darko is experimenting with players, lineups, schemes, and players are still not comfortable with the offense. Perfect voice of reason from Cool Cat right here. She's exactly right. This is a game nobody needs to be overreacting to in any kind of way, whether it's negative or positive. That's what I'm saying. Anybody who's still saying, oh, the Raptors suck. Well, in some ways right now, we should be 4-2 instead of 2-4. If we'd won the Portland and the Chicago game, we'd be 4-2 right now. So in some ways, not taking care of the games we should have took care of is making our record look worse right now. If we just beat Chicago and Portland, we'd be 4-2 right now. Yeah. And we're not. And that sucks. I hate being 2-4. And that's why y'all can't fuck around in Chicago. That's why you can't lose to a shitty team like Portland, is what I'll say. Yeah. All right. Let me. I don't bite is giving me more money. Oh my gosh, I don't bite. What a guy. What a guy. All right, random gamers here. We're getting 2 Philly fans to come reconvene with us to react to the game last night. The refs were on something last night. How do you finish the game handing out like 6 texts to 6 people? That literally should never happen. Laugh out loud. Wow, they were just handing them out for free. Yeah, I didn't even understand some of them. I was listening to the Sixers broadcast last night, so I had it turned down. I really don't like listening to Ala Abdel Nabi, old Duke legend. I remember when he played in college. He was a pretty good player back then, but he was not a very good NBA player. But Ala can be annoying. And so I turned them down. And when those texts were happening, I was like not totally getting why they happened. I got the reason why Darko got one. Scotty got fouled on that fast break. But then the Chris Boucher technical was weird to me. Like, what the fuck happened there? And then, the technicals with the illegal defense were annoying too. Yeah, it was shady. And even Sixers fans saying that right now. There you go. Sue's agreeing with Cool Cat on not overreacting. And Carlos saying, morning, happy Friday, TGIF, Carlo JS, one of the great Raptor freaks. We love you, Carlo. Nameless is saying, Embiid is the dirtiest player in the league. Again, he dives and rolls around on the floor at people's knees and ankles. Why doesn't someone accidentally on purpose fall on his throat when he does that? Yeah, there were a couple of things that were dirty last night. Let's just put it that way. Let's do a whole dirty theme real quick right now. I'm going to tell you the most dirty Sixer is Paul Reed. Paul Reed is dirty as fuck. There's a reason why this man's going out there. Nick Nurse has made him his foul guy, and he's out there hitting people on purpose. In particular, he almost hurt Scott badly. You saw when Scott hurt his ankle? Well, that was directly because Paul Reed was grabbing him, and Scott was trying to take off and burst. And that motherfucker almost hurt Scott really, really bad last night. Fortunately, he was able to walk it off and continue to play the rest of the game, no problem. But that was dirty as fuck. There were a couple times when Paul Reed, in the beginning of the game, in the first half, he was playing dirty as fuck and he was dangerous. He could have hurt Scott badly last night, and that made me really mad. Then yeah, what is this tumbling class, Joel? You go roll around like a little kid on a mat at tumbling for tots or something? Like, what was this little roll thing you did last night after you shot? Yeah, and it was almost like you almost rolled into Scotty on that play. Yeah, that was screwy. That was messed up. There was a little bit of weird rolling around on the floor by Joel last night. Yeah, there is dirtiness. We know Nick tells his players to foul and foul and foul and foul because his philosophy is that you can't call every foul. The ref can't call every foul. So a team that's coached by Nick Nurse is going to be fouling people constantly. People like Patrick Beverly and Paul Reed love that kind of shit because they can just fucking go foul people like crazy because coach told them to. And the refs won't call every single one. It's insidious and it's messed up. They can play with a physicality that does not get tapped back because the referees can't call it all and they're going crazy with it. That makes it so much harder to play against a team when they're unleashed physically and you can't, they're doing everything and they're hitting you and all this stuff and they're not getting calls. It's very demoralizing too because you're getting touch calls on you on the other end. So it's messed up. Talking about dirty, there's a picture on Twitter today that is gross, y'all. And it's from our game 2 nights ago against the Milwaukee Bucks. Apparently, there's a picture on Twitter of Brook Lopez lining up at the free throw line, and it looks like he soiled his shorts. Yeah, it's really weird. Let me give you the link so y'all can go look at this right now. I'm just going to put it in the chat. It's on Twitter, so you might need a Twitter account. But yeah, it's hilarious. You go and tell me what that is from. But yeah, people are putting it on blast on Twitter today. Did Scotty Barnes make Brook Lopez shit his pants? Maybe. You have to go do an investigation yourself and come back and tell me what you think. Look at Brook Lopez's pants. That's right. Very gross. Yeah, talk about dirty plays and dirty people. That's right. Let's see. Naco the Nacho saying, I was watching the Philly stream, even though announcers thought it was fishy, the refs calls. Yeah, that's how you know. It's like, listen, we're not crazy top of top. We're not stupid. We get what things are happening. And even the opposition's recognizing it. Like I Don't Bite and Random Gamer and Allah Abdel Nabi. They're recognizing this fuckery too. All right, let's see. Carlos saying, Sixers looking sharp yesterday. Got to be damn perfect to win against contenders. No worries. Cleaning up turnovers will set us right. You know, in some ways you're right, but in some ways you're not. Because we're close. If Scotty will get it going, we see when that dual engine is firing with Siakam and Scotty firing together. Well, look at what happened in Milwaukee. That's what I'm saying. So it really is, we've got to get Siakam more involved in a dual threat with Scott, where both of them are kind of doing the same kind of energy and output in the game. Then we have our best chance to win. So we do need Siakam to have his cylinder firing too. And that is what will help us. Cool Cat saying Coach Darko is not familiar with Pascal. He didn't know he had to run specific plays for Siakam to get around Nick Nurse plans to shut him down. Nick Nurse allows Scotty to shoot because we can't win that way. Well, I think it's also that he's just not totally familiar with what Scotty's elevated his game to since the offseason. In some ways, Scotty's new. He's a new player right now. And Nick has never had to make a scouting report against Scotty. And in some ways, he doesn't know this Scotty because nobody knows this Scotty. In some ways, the Raptors don't even know this Scotty. We're going into uncharted territories with Scotty. And that's why, in some ways, it's easier to make a game plan for Siakam because you know his bag of tricks and he's familiar. But Scotty is unknown. And that's part of the reason why, yeah, Scott can get away with doing all that stuff because there's no game plan for him yet because he's revealing it for the first time. And with Siakam, yeah, he's easier to game plan for because in a lot of ways, Nick has a lot. He's if there's a degree on Siakamology, this guy, Nick Nurse has a doctorate. He knows Siakam inside and out against him or playing him. So it's just that way. I think that you're right in some ways that Darko's adjusting his system to help Siakam be more successful, and that's good. In some ways, that's what Darko said this summer. It's like I'm not the kind of coach that makes my players bend to my will and be exactly what I want them to be on the floor. I really want to work with them in flexibility and allow their strengths and what they like to do be implemented and into what I want to do with my system. So there's a gray area and there's a meeting of halfway instead of just stringently saying, Siakam, you have to do it exactly how I want it. Well, how can I help you be successful in my system by helping you get more of what you like to do in it naturally in a good way? I think that's really kind of where we're at with this whole thing, Cool Cat, with Siakam and Darko and the new system. Is like, I want to figure out wrinkles that'll help you do it the way you used to, but it still kind of fits our system philosophy. Is basically what it is. And Cool Cat, you're getting a well said from Monique. I like that. Well, you know what? If you said well said to her, let's go ahead and give her a dunk. A dunk for a well said, well thought out comment. There you go. I like it. KSM's here. Good to see you, KSM. Rewatch the game to see refs have zero tolerance for Raptors in the key, but allow Joel to plant himself like a tree. No whistle bias much. Yeah. Yeah. It really is crazy how they can control things, but we just have to be the badasses that get around it. Beat them at their own game, even though it's crazy. But yeah, there's a difference between the two ends of the court, and it's messed up. And if Darko was like, a more angry person, he'd probably be more pissed at them. But he's kind of trying to work with them. And he's trying to be like, yeah, y'all refs, you're great. We love you. The refs in the NBA are the best refs in the entire world. He said that, like in the last week. He really is trying to make good favor with them. He doesn't want to be acrimonious with them. He wants to be a good working relationship with them. Maybe Nick was more like acrimony, yelling, whining, complaining, but Darko's not trying to be like that. Now, he got a tech for getting mad about not them calling that foul in transition with Scott. But in some ways, that's him standing up for a superstar and calling out and telling them, hey, you need to call a foul and recognize his talent and give him protection too. In these kind of situations, you can do it for Joel. You better do it for Scotty too, is what he's trying to say. Yeah. Sue's saying Embiid's only is successful because the league allows his falling drama and sending him to the stripe. At one point, he was at the line more than our whole team. It's weird this year because in some ways, the last two games against Joel and the Sixers, we saw him fall way less. You really saw last year was like the timber year for him, where he's just flopping and falling on the ground every which way. The influence of James Harden telling him to do that was horrible. Well, James is gone, and they made a flopping rule. So now, all of a sudden, mysteriously, Joel's able to stay on his feet a little bit more than he was last year. Have you noticed that? It's kind of weird and fishy, isn't it? Well, he did fall a couple times, but not as much, is what I'm saying. He would fall like every other play last year. Well, he seems to have better footing this year. I wonder why. Cool Cat saying, I wonder what is the root issue of our offense that players are not getting. Is it an IQ issue? I think it's all right. Listen, in some ways, the way I see the game isn't the way that kids are brought up to see the game anymore. There's a basic protocol and fundamentals about passing and looking for open shooters and why you shoot or when you shoot, the relation to defenders and reading the offense that some of our players are not smart with. A big part of the disconnect on our offense right now is recognizing mismatches and taking advantage of them. There's so much stuff that could happen in our offensive set that they're not mining. There's different things that develop and could happen, and they need to be more on top of it and get used to seeing it or recognizing it develop that way. In some ways, they have to do the system for a while and understand, well, this opportunity comes around when this happens in this situation, when this movement happens. And they have to get that pass to that person successfully. Some of it is the passing is through traffic and the other team is picking it off and getting a turnover and a steal. Some of it is that we're standing there with the ball while people are moving and we're missing the opportunity to launch that ball to somebody for a quick opportunity that is there. And we're not doing it in the window of the time that is allowed for doing that. There's a couple different things happening, and these are things that will get better. They'll get better with familiarity and feeling more comfortable with what they're supposed to be doing. But some of it is reads and recognizing what they should do and to really game those advantages and take them when they present themselves. And that's the big thing I'm seeing right now is that there's opportunities that are presenting themselves that they're not jumping on. That they, if they get better at doing it and executing it, then we're gonna be even better, y'all. Seriously, I don't bite, man. You're just throwing money at me like I'm a stripper. I love you, man. Even though you're on the dark side, I love you, bro. Let's see. Nameless is saying, if that's me, next time Embiid dives at people's knees, I make it like he tripped me and drive my knee right into the sternum. He'll stop then. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to handle this. There's a couple different ways to handle this. Yeah, I like that they gave him a good hit. Seriously, you're gonna play with some physicality. All right, get a little sandwich, a little Raptor sandwich there. We'll smush you real quick in there. I mean, that was all natural within the play, but the physicality, if he's gonna play with physicality, we need to match his physicality back. And when OG and Yaka put him in the ringer, yeah, there was a little bit of smile on my face. Fiercely saying, despite Scotty putting in all these minute numbers, we're not necessarily winning. I'm not saying we need to revert to Pascal doing ISO plays, but it seems we need to balance team schemes in Pascal's play. Yeah, I think that's true. But listen, how about this, Fiercely? What if I told you without doing that, that there's a growing pains schedule with a young superstar like Scotty, that you don't get wins right away when he starts becoming the number one and dominating? That in some ways we've got to allow him to learn and be that dominant player. And it's not going to add up to wins right away, but it will eventually. And it may be sooner than later. It's just that, when you have the new number one, he has to figure out and orient how to do that so that he puts enough water in the jug that we get the W every night. So he's still figuring that out. He's dumping big, huge amounts of water in the jug to help us get to that height to win, but he's not adding just enough yet. And in some ways, it was the second half last night. Scotty can do more in the second half scoring. In some ways, he was really, really gangbusters at the beginning. It's not as bad as last year where he disappears for like 3 quarters and he plays really good for 1 quarter. It's more like this year, he plays really good for 3 quarters or 2 quarters, and he disappears for like 1 quarter or 2 quarters. So that's an improvement there. So in some ways, he's got to add more. And of course, Siakam can help carry that load with him in the way that I just described. But we'll see. We'll have to see how it happens. It's a little bit of both will happen and make it easier for us to win down the road. Siakam helping more with more balance, and also Scotty learning more and more just how much he needs to do to really take over and absolutely win games. G saying a solid backup center and a solid backup point guard. Flynn to me is not there. Will be a huge help. Yeah, we get Koloko back. We get Precious back. That's great. This is why we want 3 centers, Bobby and Masai, because you got Koloko and Achua out, and after Pirtle, you got what, Thad Young? Oh my gosh, what's going on here? We need a little bit better. Yeah, and the backup point guard for sure. In some ways, I really do want to see Marquise get in there. Some of the Raptors fans are starting to say, forget about Flynn. Let's get Marquise Noel out there and give him a chance to start playing backup point guard for us and see if he's any better in some of the ways he could do things. That'd be really crazy if Marquise came out there and he was a way more sound backup point guard than Malachi, not even playing ever and being undrafted and being so short. If he could come out there and if Darko gave him a chance and he was solid and he played really badass, it's not likely. That would be awesome to discover a backup point guard in Marquise. But once again, his height and being undrafted and having absolutely no NBA experience are all working against him. Tom's saying, nice work, don't bite. Yeah, got that money flying. I love it. Yeah. Carlos saying, cool cat, learning a new system is not easy, especially when it's totally different from what you've been doing for years. It'll probably take half the season to clean it up. Could be. Yeah. Hopefully. But this is the thing. I'm going to say this. Some teams take years to get new systems. But we have smart, intelligent, willing learners who are very much soaking it up and doing it as quickly as possible. I think if this was like the Charlotte Hornets and they were in this situation, it could take them 3 years to learn a new system like this, those knuckleheads down there. But we've got high aptitude, professional guys that take it seriously, and they're really working hard to learn it quicker. And I really do believe that. And I trust them that they're going to learn it as fast as they can. And, it's always a work in progress and getting better and better at it. But I want them to get to a level where it's happening at a good aptitude and a success rate that it's like, oh, it's mostly working at this point. And it is working in a lot of cases, a lot right now already. It's just always be improved, and we'll see. And we'll see. I believe in these guys because they are really, really smart. You between like Dennis and Siakam and Barnes and Grady and Jakob and these guys are intelligent players, and they're going to learn stuff quicker than the average NBA player. Let's see. I don't bite smiling at Tom. G saying Embiid 13 free throws, Scotty 4. Embiid was being fouled at times for sure, but so was Scotty. That's for sure. That's for sure. Cowboys here. Good morning, Lex. Raptor Freaks. Bam. Cowboy. I got the number of Seymour Pape, and I got your number, and I sent you a text. I don't know if you saw it. But I sent a number from David that he gave me to Seymour because he wants your number. So when you go to Alberta, you can link up with him. So just so you know, your number was given to some people yesterday, and Seymour was one of them. All right, let's see. Kareem saying, what I loved about Marc Gasol was that he didn't care where the ball was. He was always face to face with Embiid, not even allowing the team to get an entry pass to him. Yeah, Scotty did a bit of fronting on Embiid last night with a different success. It is what it is. I mean, yeah, Gasol's awesome. I mean, I miss Gasol. In a lot of ways, he's an underrated Raptors legend that we should toot the horn of more and more in the future. Definitely. He belongs in our family along with the Grizzlies family. But in some ways, he's a champion with us. And Marc Gasol has a history with us that we need to always remember. That's right. Always remember. Always remember. Tom Duke has gifted 5 memberships to people. Let's see who he got them. Cowboy got one of the memberships. G got one of the memberships. Fun Guy got one of the memberships. Wayne got one of the memberships. And Randolph got one of the memberships. Look at that. That's an all-star 5 right there. G, Cowboy, Fun Guy, Wayne, and Randolph getting gifted memberships. Y'all, listen, if you're a member, you can join our Facebook group. And there's updates on everything all the time in our chat. News breaks. We're in there commenting. We're sharing it. If there's a new clip from Dennis or Ellen, if there's new interviews, it's all getting shared in there. So any of you guys who are not on Facebook with us, find me on Facebook under my name, and you can join our Facebook group. And that's a membership privilege. You can come in there and see all the Raptorsfreak information on the off hours from the stream and interact with us even in off hours. There was always sometimes a bit of a chat during the games where we kind of do live chat, talking and reacting to the games just a little bit. I'm not in there too much, but there's usually people in there talking about the game. So any of you guys who just got it, if you're on Facebook, get in that group with us. Seriously, I don't think any of y'all are in that Facebook group with us, and you are all eligible to join. Let's see. Nako's saying wouldn't play Flynn over Grady or Otto, but I can see the facilitator aspect of him better for the season. Yeah, there's certain things that we've invested in that he's supposed to do better, and he does in some ways. But I wish they were shooting and making a lot of other things happen better. But yeah, I'm getting to that point too. I mean, in some ways, Grady really does look like he needs to be played more. Now, Otto was not allowed to play last night because it was a back-to-back, and he's still on rest protocol coming in from his injury. So he was not going to be playing last night just because he played against Milwaukee. That was just the plan. Tom Duke saying, let's go, Lex. Thank you, Tom. And Name was saying, wow, what an amazing gifted membership that time. Let's fucking go, Tommy Gunn. Yeah, he hit the right names right there. Really good regulars right there. Tommy's got that burning heart. Fiercely saying, I'm just looking forward to the moment we shut down Pat Bev's benching ass, only scoring 2 points per game, big mouth. Well, whatever. He's funny. Like, he's really goofy. He's really annoying. He's really scrappy. I see him talking trash. He stole the ball from Malachi at one point and humiliated him and talked some trash. I see him jawing at Chris Boucher. I see him helping Gary Trent up off the floor because he recognized the dog and Gary, and they had their little face off. So I guess they have respect. I feel like he has respect with Chris. He was trying to talk shit to Chris while he was at the line to mess up his free throws. And Chris Boucher hit the free throws, even though Pat Bev was talking out of his ass. There's a lot of stuff from Pat Bev that he does that is intangible. And in some ways, he's a great player for Nick to have. I hate to say it. In some ways, he's like this really annoying like dog. He can sick on people. And yeah, in some ways, he's really annoying. I never want to see him win a ring. Let's just put it that way. I never ever want to see him win a ring. Never once do I. Yeah. Carlos saying, I'll try to make that meet and greet. Awesome, Carlo. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be there at 6, but you can come at any time that evening on November the 16th. Carlaw and Gerard Real Jerk location. We'll be there. It's a karaoke night, I believe. And there's usually NBA games on the screen, great food, and good times. And Tom Duke in Toronto from Victoria, British Columbia. And maybe even Isaac Campbell will be there from Ottawa also. So we'll have out of town Raptor Freaks in town, and y'all can all come and greet them and give them a nice warm welcome to the 416 at the Real Jerk on that Thursday, just less than 2 weeks from now. G saying Precious was missed this game. He makes some bad decisions, but he boxes out and is aggressive in the paint, being a pest. I'm going to make this connection right now. That part of the reason why we're having defensive rebounding problems is Precious is out. He's a big part of our rebounding in a lot of ways. He's a fantastic rebounder. And issues with rebounding have arose in the last few games. We did really good against Milwaukee, and that was a big, huge key to why we won. But the rebounding against Portland and the rebounding last night wasn't as good, and these are games that Precious has missed. So he is missed for those kind of things, for sure. Boxing out, and also his defense is very much missed, for sure. Cowboy saying alley-oop to Fiercey. You were thinking the same thing. All right, Cowboy, we'll give an alley-oop to Fiercey. Let's see. Carlos saying, when will Koloko be back? I wish I knew. None of us know. There's no information about any timetable, and there's not even really that much information about exactly what's ailing him. So, Carlo, it is a big, huge question mark mystery is what's going on with Koloko. Fiercey's got OG on blast and on fire. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. And Nameless is saying, Arrivederci, top of top. Si vidi mano. See you later. See, Nameless says no love lost in this. And he's okay with me kissing him on the cheek and saying goodbye to him. It's just, I don't want to do this all year with him. Enough was last year was enough. And I already can tell his song and dance. If we're going to lose games, he's going to come in and be even worse about it. He's not getting the point of this channel. He really, really isn't. He doesn't like that I use the excuse about the schedule. Well, okay, that's fine. But I know you're going to pile on Siakam, and I'm just not doing that this year. Whatever you were doing last year, we're not doing it again this year. No more reruns. MSJ saying we had no chance. We had no chance for a lot of reasons. We don't have Embiid for one. NBA MVP and oh well, keep being a fan on a back-to-back. Nope. Chris, I mean, listen, in some ways we know the parameters. We have an outside chance to win. If we win, that's great. If we don't, in some ways, it's like, yeah, this is what the NBA wanted. And it's basically kind of what it is. It is what it is. Chris, we're looking forward to see you at the get-together soon. Yeah. Isaac saying, W at Tom, wicked group of new members. Yeah, that is quite the fivesome there. Very cool fivesome. Carlos saying back-to-back. MVP, Nick Nurse, new system. Seems like too many factors against us. U.S. versus Canada. Yeah, the Sixers have really leaned into the red, white, and blue colors of their team. And then the other thing is interesting when we play them, sometimes they like to make our color scheme fit with theirs when we only wear white and red. And that all fits in with the red, white, and blue of the whole America thing of it. The Sixers colors got way more American looking in recent years. Back in the day, they didn't go so heavy on the Liberty Bell, Benjamin Franklin, America like connections. They're really leaning into them now at this point. It's very interesting. You can tell the blue and the red of the Sixers team has changed. It's not the same blue and the red that Allen Iverson or Charles Barkley wore. It's a new era of blue and red. They're very, very much more pronounced with the colors of the United States flag at this point. Let's see. Excuse me. You have to be near perfect to beat contenders. This is one thing you'll hear experts like Leo Routens and Jack Armstrong say is that the Raptors have no big room for error. The margin of error for us is not very good. Like we have to play absolutely perfect. And if there are mistakes, well, we're less likely to win. Other teams can play kind of half-assed and they can still kind of win lazy because they get helped in certain ways, whether they have an Embiid or the referees or whatever. But in some ways, in our case, we have to play absolutely perfect. We cannot have a margin of error, margin of error. We cannot have that, because if we do, then we're more likely to lose. We have to play absolutely perfect. And Jack Armstrong and Leo Routens will say that. Well, how do you play absolutely perfect when you have a new coach and new system you're trying to do that? You can't. You can't. So that's the thing. There's two things that are happening right now with the Raptors. They just aren't going to jive to winning a whole lot right now. But maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe we are going to be like not making a whole lot of mistakes, and we do play almost perfect, and we kick a team like Milwaukee's ass like we did this week. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. No. Kareem's not upset about what I just did. Au revoir, tippity top troll. Yeah, you guys were waiting for me to probably kick this guy out for a while. Some of y'all were probably like, why do you let this guy still hang around? Well, today was the day. And it's kind of interesting because I'll bet Top didn't realize he was going to get kicked out today. It just came out of the blue. And I was like, yeah, I'm sick of this shit. Tom Duke saying, Top came in here picking fights. Lex ain't having it. I'm all for free speech, but so much division gets sown by so few. Yeah, it's not even that. At some point, we know his song and dance. And I was already saying you're dubious. You're already kind of, and I get it. Maybe he is a good Raptors fan. He's probably a nice guy. And I have no problem with him personally. It's just in some ways, I want to protect the quality of this channel. And in some ways, I want to continue to stop hearing broken records. And in some ways, there's a couple things that are kind of like, and there's a lot of red flags. And at this point, my streams have been way too long recently. When I look at how long my streams are, and I'm doing like almost 4 hours or 2.5 hours, I'm doing this like it's a part-time job. It is. It very much is. And in some ways, I want to cut my stream times down, and I want to cut out extra bullshit. And in some ways, is not necessary. And that's in some ways part of what I saw with some of the top stuff in the last year. It's just like, this isn't necessary. Why are we doing this? Cowboys got me on blast. I'm back, baby. That's Tom. You're the fucking man. Bam. Okay, Cowboy. Carlos saying Wemby got 38. Sheesh. Yeah, 38. That's right. That's a welcome to the NBA. This dude's for real, man. This dude's for real. Cowboys on the target with Tom. Mug Brothers. Carlos saying we got Wemby on Sunday. That's right. That's our next game. Is Victor on Sunday? Well, this will be fun. Who knows? Maybe we can still beat them. I'd like to beat them. I think we can. I think we have a chance against the Spurs and the Mavs. The Celtics may be tough in Boston next week, but yeah, the Spurs and the Mavs. These are gettable games in some ways. I really do believe that. Cool Cat saying folks have to be careful about bashing other players on Raptors. They're not helping Scotty's goal to win a chip sooner than later. Laugh out loud. Scotty and all the rookies will take lots of years, people. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. All right, let me break this down fairly. I know there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, when we bash our other players, the other players see it and they get upset about it and think, oh, they're going to do that to me." I don't think that's totally true. I mean, these guys know there's trolls and idiots in all kinds of ways, and I don't think that, once again, they don't think of the people that talk like that as Raptors fans. People that are overly negative about the Raptors, even though they self-identify as Raptors fans, they look at them as assholes and trolls. Yeah, the negative ones, the ones that just come and point everything out. So they don't really consider them fan nation. They consider the fan nation the little kids that want the autographs, the people that are like, we love you, kick ass on the street. Not the keyboard warriors that are typing shit on here. Those people are not fans in anybody's eyes, Scotty, Pascal, or anybody. They're just trolls. And they know how to differentiate this. So, any of the online bashing or negative stuff, they know that that's not fans. And that's where they look at it. It's really cut and dry. How are you to my face? How are you to me in person? You may be very nice to me in person and then talking shit behind my back on the keyboard. Well, in person, you're a coward and you will be nice to me, but you're going to be a coward behind my back and talk shit. They could even say that person in particular, you're a fan to my face, but you're a troll at home. It doesn't matter. They know they have good fans that actually love them and come the right way and positive to them. And this is the case in every fan nation. So I'm not worried about this with Scott. Sure, they can see how they treated Fred. Sure, they can see this, but in a lot of ways, they know how to differentiate who's a fan and who's just fucked up and a troll. And we need to give them more credit on that. Now, the whole idea about the timeline, and you're talking about Scotty's goal to win the chip sooner than later. In some ways, I don't really care about timelines. Timelines are timelines. In some ways, Messiah and Scotty and them know the timeline better than we do. Some of the fans are impatient. They want to microwave cook up a championship real quick. And in some ways, we could actually do that. We did it before. In some ways, it was a little bit of a cook up, although the build was very long and strong with Lowry and DeRozan. In some ways, it cooked up real fast at the last part. So we can build slow and steady the regular way, developing the young guys, and then we get a real quick cook up. Maybe it's an addition to the team all of a sudden. Maybe it's whatever. Things can happen really quickly, and we could get a championship sooner. But in a lot of ways, the fans in general just need to be more patient. I think that's what we need more. Like it's real easy to say, oh, we're nowhere near to get a championship, but that may not be true. And it's also real easy to say, y'all stop being so fucking impatient and just calm down and let it happen the way it's supposed to, is what I'll say. Cool Cat, great comment. And I don't want you to worry about the thing with Scotty. With him hearing other noise, he doesn't give a shit. He sees it in his chat. He disregards it. He sees trolls in his Twitch chat all the time, and he goes with the fans, and he knows the difference. Yeah, you're a troll. You're a cool person. You're a real fan, and he's not thinking that fans are trolls or trolls are fans. Let's just put it that way. Nameless is saying Victor may kick our ass too. Well, I want to see this. I wish we had Koloko for Sunday. That would be awesome. See Koloko try and guard Wembayama. In some ways, who is our best player to guard Victor? Who do you think it is? Is OG still the best player to guard him no matter what? Maybe. Maybe Siakam is. I feel like Siakam's got some longer arms in some ways. He can get up higher. I don't know if Pirtle's the right guy. Because Pirtle is kind of like slower than Victor in some ways, I think. I don't know. Maybe Pirtle isn't the right person to actually guard him. He may actually need to guard Zach Collins or one of their center that they're using. Because Victor doesn't play center. That's the crazy thing. He plays power forward or small forward. And in some ways, that means he's going to be lining up against, who knows, maybe Scott will come into practice tomorrow and you say, I want to guard Victor on Sunday. That could be very interesting. Who guards Victor Wembanyama on Sunday? It's going to be fun. I always love the Spurs versus Raptors games because I can't lose. I love both teams, and either one wins, I'll be happy. I'd love the Raptors to win the game, though. We need it more, though. G saying Suns are 1-3, and their top players get paid the same as our entire roster. Last time I checked, there you go. There's a perspective factoid right there. Yeah, their record is 1-3, and their players get paid. Their top players get paid our whole entire roster. See, I mean, there's different dumpster fires going on. Ours isn't that bad. To a degree, ours is expected, and kind of we didn't need to be in the spot. We really could have been 4-2 right now. And Miami, that's a real issue right now. Miami, people are a little bit freaked out. Cleveland, people are a little freaked out. Phoenix Suns, people are a little freaked out. There's a couple of teams that are losing right off the bat that we're not supposed to be. And in some ways, people would say, we expected y'all to. So, yeah, I think Miami Heat Nation's a little bit crazy right now. Let's just say that. Fiercely saying at top of top, one occurrence is doubtful, but two occurrences within a week after traveling, very, very suspicious. Yeah, this is completely set up for Nick Nurse to start his revenge tour against us. Go ahead and just give them the two victories. At least with Casey, all right, I'm going to say this. I realized because I went to the game on Saturday, I went to both of the games where, hang on, sorry. I can't have you talking to me right now. Somebody's trying to talk to me on Facebook. I realized on Saturday that I went to both of the first return games for Dwayne Casey and Nick Nurse after they got fired from the Raptors. I went to the very first game when Casey came back and he got his first revenge against us with the Pistons. That game was interesting because we were actually winning the whole game. And then right at the last second, they beat us by 1 point off of a fluke shot that went in right at the end. And that was crazy. That was crazy. So now I've gone to this one. Now that one wasn't a railroad. Casey won legitimately, and he had no business because the Pistons weren't that good, and they beat us. So yeah, that Casey's revenge is different than Nick Nurse's revenge right now. Casey earned his, and he really did come and beat us with his team wanting to beat us. And in some ways, the NBA helped the Sixers and Nick Nurse to get his Nurse's revenge, is what we're calling it. If anybody sees that we start getting losses to the Sixers regularly since Knicks is over there, don't you start using that C word, because that's not what this is. It's a revenge. And C words do not belong in our fan nation. Let's just put it that way. They just don't. Yeah, it's not just suspicious, it's set up. And it marks off a couple of their objectives. Have Nick Nurse have wins over the Raptors. So he's more dominant in the whole thing than the Raptors and him. He needs to be the one who's on top and the one that won the whole thing. Oh, they had the audacity to fire him. Well, let's punish them. Also, they're division rivals. We want the Sixers to have a leg up on the Raptors, and let's give them 2 losses real quick and have Philly win that series for the season, just in case there's any tiebreakers and things like that. Not to mention they're division rivals that are in our division, and that hurts us in winning our division also. So there's a lot of things they checked off with getting these 2 scheduled losses out of the way against the Sixers for us. There's a lot of things. Yeah. Tom Duke saying, no way, Jose, at Nameless. Okay, then. Wayne saying, thanks a lot for my membership. I truly appreciate it. Greetings from where to the sun always shines, even when the rain falls. This league, while very manipulated, still is exciting to anticipate. In some ways, you've got to love being the ultimate underdog. And that's why I'm saying, y'all hang with this, because when we get there again, it's going to be so awesome. And, it'll mean even more than the first one, the second one, because it's going to be like, wow, how hard was it to get this? And maybe, hopefully, Raptors Nation and fans will actually really, really appreciate the second championship in a deeper level and way than the first championship, because it won't catch them off guard, and they'll absolutely realize just how much it takes for the Raptors to win an NBA championship, how much they're up against in relation to the rest of the league in some ways. Really, really, really crazy. Cool Cat saying, do we really want other teams to sign Pascal and OG to help them win, or stay with Scotty to help him win in a year or two? I want to keep these guys. If we can keep bird rights and we can go into the cap and whatever, people say, why are we doing that? We're a mid team. Bullshit. Can you see how Scotty is like going to push us to new ceilings with what we got? And we don't necessarily need a whole bunch of people to save us. In fact, the things we need for a roster right now are bench pieces. Honestly, in some ways, what we need to get to the next level is just good role players off the bench, a sound backup point guard, a good backup center, and some better scoring off the bench. Then boom, we may have a championship team, because Scott is the number one. Scott is the guy who can carry us. Scott is unlimited potential to what he can do to dominate this game. And that's why I was telling everybody, we don't need to trade to get Dame Lillard. We don't need to go and do a big, huge home run move. Scotty is our home run move, and he's moving up in the ranks to be that home run guy for us. And that's what I'm saying. I'm with Cool Cat. I say you get Siakam and OG and stick around. As long as Siakam is still working with it and working in the system and it makes sense, yeah. OG for sure. I really wouldn't be pissed off if OG is not on our team in the future. I really think he's an absolutely essential member of the Raptors that we keep around for so many different reasons. Siakam, in some ways, I could see if the package is right, then maybe we do need to move him to get some of those bench pieces that could really help us in the way that I just talked about. But in some ways, I'm also like, man, you don't want to let go of a team talent like Siakam, especially a homegrown one where we brought him from nothing to where he is now. That is awesome. That is awesome. And in some ways, these aren't easy decisions. And this is why Bobby and Masai get paid the big bucks. And they are good at what they do, because these aren't easy decisions and they make good decisions. Let's see. Seymour saying, tough loss. Only way is up from here. Keep up the good fight. You go, Seymour Pate. And numbers were exchanged. That's right. Let's fucking go, Seymour. Carlo is saying, hang on. Stupid jump. All right, Carlos saying at Cool Cat, we may need to part with Siakam, as one of the problems is our in our offense is spacing. This is a lot of what it's a hot topic around spacing on our team with Pirtle and Siakam in particular. And this is why I want these guys to get their friendship rekindled majorly and talk a lot. Because in some ways, if they can work with each other to figure out who's in the paint with this kind of issues with the spacing, we could fix this. So Jakob and Pascal really work this out because in some ways it's in y'all's hands. And as good friends, y'all can talk about this and get on the same page and try and figure out how this can go. Because in some ways you're right. They're clogging things up. But I think that it's not the thing where it's like, oh, it's impossible. We'll never have good spacing because these guys are on our team. I think it's just an adjustment. And in some ways, it may mean that Siakam is lurking from the outside a little bit more than kind of hanging around down in the low post. I don't know. And maybe Jakob needs to come out of the paint and not try and be down there at times, or maybe stand to the side. There should be some different options to try and help with our spacing issues. But it's true. In some ways, Siakam and Pirtle do clog things up. And I don't know. That's something that Darko and them need to work out. Fiercely saying, I stumbled upon a quick interview in which Pat Bev said Dennis gave him attitude and Scotty bumped him. They didn't like his no dog comment. Yeah, that was the second Pat Bev interview after the game on Saturday. And he was talking about what happened with him and Scotty. Yeah, he was saying some not very nice things about Scotty. And I think that may be part of the reason why Scott came out and killed them right at the beginning of the game last night. Yeah, Dennis doesn't like Pat Bev. He straight up said, I had him as a teammate last year, and he's great to have as a teammate. And that's all he said after that. It's like, Pat Bev is going to be Pat Bev. Yeah, I don't think that these guys like each other. Carlos saying, unless we find a way to iron out his offense. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Sue saying, side note on Philly, Nick is already pushing all the starters' minutes. He will play them to injury just like he did with our guys. Good luck with those guys, Nick. Ha ha ha. Oh, good luck with those guys. That quote is going to be used for years and years from now. Good luck with those guys. Good luck with those guys. Seymour saying, was it the league's call or the Raps to sit Otto? It was the Raptors' call to sit Otto. He's being ramped up, and it's a back-to-back, and he's older. So they used him on Milwaukee. He wasn't eligible for the Philadelphia game, and it wasn't the league's call. It was the trainers and the Raptors personnel that made the call. Otto, they said it before the game. We knew he wasn't going to be playing last night because he had already played the first night of the back-to-back. And this is common. This is normal. And it's not like he's under the league protocol, the resting rules that are out now. No, they don't do that with players like him. They're like not big names. They only do it with the big names. So, yeah, he can be rested, and there's no problem with the league. It's not the league that made him to do that. They did it to protect his health and him coming back properly. So, yeah, that's why he didn't play last night. It was the Raps call. They are careful with him. That's right, Carlo. Seymour's saluting, nameless, and back on top soon. I love it. Cowboys saying, I'm proud of our Raptors for a good fight. I'm with you on that. G said, Darko is slow playing this, not pushing Otto, trying to weather the storm for beginning of the season. He is very calculative and not reactive or emotional, it seems. There you go. That's a pretty good read on Darko. I could see that. Kareem saying, not to look into the future, but our schedule favors us a lot. We should be able to establish a top 5 within the second half of the season. Well, this is part of it. Like, we may get really shitty beginning and end of the season like last year, but there's a meat of the season where it's like, okay, we can do stuff. But part of the problem is right now, Kareem, is we're on the lower end of the teams. In some ways, we're going to be looked at to lose in most matchups and not be the favorite. And that's what makes it the schedule harder, is if you're not considered a top team and you're going in, well, you're not the favorite against a lot of teams. And that's what's going to make the schedule seem tough still. But this is true. In some ways, there's going to be huge parts of the schedule that are going to be way easier than the start. This is absolutely being thrown in the fire against top tier teams in very short times. This is totally calculated. I mean, it's not even just the back-to-backs calculated. It's the amount of games we're playing right away within the first 9 days of the season was insane. Seriously, we've already played 6 games, and the season is 10 days old. Seriously, that's crazy. Meanwhile, other teams, you go look at the standings. Some teams have only played 4 games or 3 games in the span of time that we just played. Yeah, 6 games right off the bat, the very beginning of the season. That is messed up. And in some ways, spacing the games out and having a little bit less quality teams that we're playing each game. Holy crap. Holy crap. Fiercely saying, agree with Cool Cat. Scotty, I love Scotty, but if the objective is to win this season, adjustments are needed. Pascal and OG need to also share the spotlight. If we focus on development, they're disadvantaged. You know, in some ways, I don't get this. I mean, these guys should be able to just step up and take theirs. In some ways, this is the thing that pisses me off about those guys. It's like, forget about the development stuff. You guys want to be badasses, go and take what is yours. It's been yours for a couple of years now, Siakam. Hey, OG, you've been set up to go and take more and more as is yours. We saw OG kind of do some dribble stuff and it was bad. This is why I don't want him to get the ball, like y'all are saying. He needs to just play within the system, get catch and shoot, put back offensive rebounds, play bully ball, do stuff like that. But when he drives, it's really bad. He dribbles the ball off his foot. He loses the ball. He's more likely to turn the ball over. So I don't like OG getting the ball to try and create. I want him to be like somebody who's just kind of getting the tail end of things. He's slow with his dribble. It's not like he has quick foot first step. He's a bull in a china shop. And it's real easy for somebody to just jump in front of him and draw a charge. It doesn't even have to be a charge for real. He's so big and bulky and so bullish. He'll just kind of move in that direction. The guy just falls over. The ref will call offensive charge because OG looks so strong. So it's just folly to encourage OG to develop his game in those kind of ways where he's trying to beat people on isolation off the dribble. It's really folly. It's a place that's just going to cause more and more failure and more turnovers, and it's not going to garner that much success. The best places for OG to score, catch and shoot threes on driving kicks, him in transition, obviously. And then if they get that bully ball matchup mismatch, get that ball to him on there. But otherwise, I don't want to see him out in the elbow, dribbling with his back to the basket, trying to turn and go around someone. That is not what we need OG to do. It has never worked his whole career, and it still doesn't work now. And if you want to turn the ball over a bunch, go ahead and keep doing that. But Siakam, sure, we can let him do that. And I'll agree on this part. You guys want to look for Siakam more and get the ball more to him so he can produce. I will get behind that side of it. With OG, we need to let him just do his game. Everybody expects him to jump to a Siakam level, but maybe that's just not in the cards. Maybe he's not supposed to be that kind of player. Maybe he's supposed to be a really good defensive stopper and a great offensive weapon within the flow of the game without his number being called that much himself. There's nothing wrong with that. He produces within the flow of the game very well, especially because he runs the floor and he's such a good finisher and he's a dialed in great 3-point shooter. And those are the things I'd rather he focus on than trying to do any kind of dribble and I'm going to go around this guy or I'm going to post this guy. Even when he posts people, it looks ugly unless it's right underneath the basket. If it's right underneath the basket, he's amazing. But if he's anywhere 10 feet out, don't try and dribble and move and try and go to the basket, OG. You're going to lose the ball or you're going to just have a turnover. And I don't like that. Cowboys got Tom Duke on blast. He's got me on blast. He's got Mo on blast. He's got the Raptors on blast. And Tom's got the same going on. Fiercely saying that Kareem, this is comforting. Rough start, but if we get an advantage later on schedule-wise, I'm all for it. Well, things should balance out. If it's the NBA, it should be balancing out like that. And in some ways, they want us to have the problems at the beginning of the season, so it sets the tone for the whole year. If they screw us up at the beginning, hopefully it just screws us up. And then when we get the easier games, we're screwed up and we lose those games anyway. Hello, Orlando weekend last year. That's what I'm saying. It's like in some way screw them up right away. So they have bad feelings. They never get it off the ground. And then hopefully when they get the really easy wins, the games that they're supposed to win, they're in disarray or not together or having a hard time. The reason the Raptors came apart last year is partly because it was such a hard schedule and such hard things were happening. And it was hard to keep things together. In some ways, there is a trying to tear it apart right at the beginning by making it a hard schedule and making you lose and people turn on each other. That's in some ways very calculated in the whole mix of it. And that's the thing. They keep together, get through this rough sailing part and get in the more smooth sailing part. If they're functional and they're a good place and they are together still, then we can succeed at those times. But if we're all screwed up by the time we get to those, you can see where there may be a problem. And you're losing 2 games in a row in Orlando when you had no business losing those 2 games in Orlando last fall. And that was really the beginning of the really shitty parts for our season last year. The 2 games we lost in Orlando last year. Yeah. Let's see. Seymour saying, Mr. Steele, your girl stole all our hearts last night. Oubre played well. I still like how we played. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, they asked Nick before the game last night, did you ever really believe you were going to coach James Harden? And he said no. No, I didn't really believe I would. Wayne saying, thanks, Tom, for the gift. Lexicon, I don't agree with nothing. Top is purporting. However, you don't view Superfan that way, and he did much worse, bringing an opponent into the arena to beat us. Well, we're not talking to Superfan. We're not dealing with him in person here. If Superfan was in our chat and we got to talk to him regularly, maybe I'd chastise him. I did chastise him after it happened. I did go off on him then, but in some ways, I gotta have a short memory, and I don't hold a grudge against our super fan. That doesn't make any sense. I love Nav. Nav's a much more plus and important positive around our team than a negative. Now, I gave him shit for DR DeRozan, but that was immediately after the game, and we did kind of go off on him a bit then. But I'm not going to carry it on and on and on like you were asking me to. So there's a couple reasons why. Nav is a really good positive Raptors fan, and I have no doubt that he wants the best things for the Raptors and more championships, and that's the difference right there. So I hope that understand. And Wayne, I'd like you to join the Facebook group now that you're in here. Seriously, find me on Facebook and come in there. It's a really, really great added additional thing to this channel because you get the information really quick, and it's awesome. Mo's in there sharing stuff like crazy. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. MSJ saying the refs gave Embiid far too much. Joel was clearing people out and did it over and over on Yak. How can he be allowed to charge the lane, move into the defender last second, and get the call? I'm fucking refs. Yeah, Golden Boy, prop him up. Prop up the legend of Embiid and make him look much more than he is because you want that narrative in your league. You want that. So it's a lot of it right there. Let's see. Random Gamer saying, I know how y'all feel about Embiid with the calls. Giannis plays the same way, and it pisses me the hell off every time. I think the only difference is Joel shoots 85% from the line, and Giannis doesn't. Random Gamer taking shots at Bucks. I'll allow it. That's awesome. Yeah, in some ways, we did see a difference between them, seeing them both on 2 nights in a row. And Giannis wasn't getting the same kind of calls that Joel was. In some ways, Giannis was really getting fucked up by us around the basket. We absolutely shut him down. And a lot of it was Jakob and OG and Pascal and Scotty running at him and causing him trouble around the basket where he would miss. And they weren't bailing him out with calls and putting him on the line. So in some ways, I know what you're saying is true. Giannis does get that treatment like Joel does, but he didn't the other night when we played him, which was weird. And Joel definitely did get it last night. Yeah. And it's true. Joel's gotten way better at the free throw line. I wish he would miss more. He used to miss a lot more, but he's worked on his free throws. He shoots free throws better now. Mo's saying Gary needs to do an all-nighter in the gym like Kyle Lowry during the playoffs many years ago. And no, I'm not negative. You are not negative, Mo. You never have been. Mo has always been a positive, real one. I've never ever. Mo can be upset about the game and be, talking about some stuff. But she's not being negative about Gary. She's crying out to give him some help to get out of his slump. Maybe he has done this kind of stuff. I don't know. I think he's sick. When this kind of thing has happened before, he's been sick on the down low, where he's had a nagging injury that nobody really knew about, and he'll come out with it and he'll tell us like a couple weeks from now, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, at the beginning of the season, I actually had mono." I'm like, what? Motherfucker, you had mono? What was going on with you, bro? It's like shit like that or something. Country Kong saying, good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lex, I won't overreact to the game since it was a back-to-back versus Philly. I will say the following. Embiid foul calls make Philly games unwatchable. Jakob had a very hard time. This is an impossible task. Like, let's look at Jakob real quick because I didn't make him one of my stars, but he did a yeoman's work trying to deal with Embiid. He did better this game than he did on Saturday, honestly. Embiid absolutely destroyed him on Saturday night in Toronto, but he did a little bit better of trying to guard him last night. But what can you do when the refs give him full allowance to just bowl right into you and there's nothing you can do? Jakob did have 4 turnovers last night, a -9 with 9 points, 4 of 8 from the field. He hit his only free throw, which is awesome, 9 rebounds and 2 assists. Not the best game by Jakob, but in some ways, what are you going to do? You're playing against Embiid and the refs with the refs behind Embiid. It's so hard. Siakam, his line was 5 of 11. He missed all 3 of his threes, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, 5 fouls. See, Siakam's getting 5 fouls. Why aren't there fouls on the other side? A minus 14 with 10 points. Another like low scoring game for Siakam. And that's why the people have got their knives out for him again today, which is totally unnecessary. Once again, if you see anybody talking about Siakam today, tell them, well, what do you expect? He's playing against his former coach who knows him like the back of his hand, and he knows exactly how to stop him. And we know that our former coach, his calling card is taking the best player on the other team and negating them with defensive schemes. So Siakam is that guy on our team. So the last 2 times we played Philly, Saturday and last night, Nick Nurse concerted his defense around stopping Siakam. So if you ask why is that stat line like this, why isn't Siakam doing more? Realize a huge factor is that Nick Nurse built the defense around stopping Pascal specifically. And that's all you need to tell people that are criticizing Siakam today. Well, Nick Nurse is trying to stop him, just like he would try to stop LeBron, just like he would try to stop Kevin Durant. He's trying to stop Pascal. And that's just the damn truth. Let's see. Jimmy saying even in the win against the Bucks, they shot 38 versus our 14. Second night of a back-to-back. I'm not mad how we battled. We just ran out of gas. I really do believe this. Like if it had been a fair like rest period for the two teams, we could have closed better and possibly won this game. It was within reach. It wasn't like this game was a blowout. It wasn't like this game was, absolute trouncing. We competed with them. And in some ways, that is a small victory in this. I know people say we don't want small victories. We just want wins. But in some ways, when you're in a development time and you're trying to learn how to win again, there's steps to this. And there was good baby steps and showing that we can compete with them. And they're our top level team in this league. And so in some ways, that's great. In some ways, you see teams like Charlotte come and show up against a team like the Sixers, and they get blown out by 50, and they look like they don't even belong in the gym with them. You cannot say that about the Raptors last night. There are teams that will look like they don't belong with the Sixers or the Celtics, like the Pacers did the other night. Well, we did. We look like we belong to compete with them, and that's a good sign. And in some ways, that is a part of the stair steps back to becoming a very powerful, winning all the time team again. So, Cowboys saying, Coloco, we need you, bro. We need him bad. That's right. And Name was saying, Embiid is definitely un figlio de putain. Un figlio de putan? Putan? I don't know. I butchered that. Carlos saying, yeah, what is the status with Coloco? Nothing. No news. No nothing. What is that symbol? Nameless. What is that? It's like I don't even know. It's the hand, right? Show the hand. Cool Cat saying other factor that is impacting our team is the center position. We only have Jakob. We need Coloco. We would have been a great height matchup with Wemby, and Boucher is not it. Yeah, Boucher's just not strong enough. Boucher is great for rebounds and energy, but he's not a backup center. He never was. And we've used him as a backup center over the years. In some ways, that sucks. In some ways, Bobby, stop having it where we have to use Chris Boucher as a center or Thad Young. Get us at least 3 centers. You got 2 right now, Coloco and Jakob. One of them's on the shelf. So you got 1 center. That's why you need the 3rd center. That's why you need the 3rd center, Bobby Webster. Please just go get us a 3rd center, a legitimate 3rd center, and none of this like Siakam plays center or Barnes plays center also. Let's see. Nameless is saying that's exactly right. Nick Nurse stymied this organization's ability to develop players with the last 5 years. So that's why we don't have any like guys that are ready and stepping up in that position right now. Nameless saying ignorant fans are misplacing their blame on the front office. Yeah, in some ways, I get why their argument is, well, if they don't give him any players to use, well, in some ways, make those players you can use, Nick, is what my argument was all along. There's nobody in this league that cannot be used and figured out how to use in an NBA style. That's why they're in this league. So fucking get them figured out and use them is what I was saying to Nick for the last 2 years. Figure out how to use Jeff Dowden. Figure out how to use Coloco. Figure out Malachi better. Come on, man. Come on now. Carlos saying it's changing, Lex. McDaniels and Schroeder signed with us outright. Yeah, I hope that's true. And they are both the step in the direction of getting bench guys that are better for that. Schroeder's not a bench guy, but McDaniels is a great addition. In some ways, last night, I'll bet some of the Sixers fans are like, man, we shouldn't have let McDaniels get to the Raptors. Why didn't we keep McDaniels? Why is he in the Raptors jersey now? There probably some of the people when they saw him come in, they were kind of like, man, I wish Jalen was still on our team. I bet you there were some Sixers fans that were like that. Carlos saying, oh man, breathing problems. That's going to take a while. Yeah, it's a respiratory issue, and he's not contagious. So it's something in his lungs. We've speculated it may have to do with long COVID, and this is not good. This is not good. Tom Duke saying, Carlo, my uneducated and uninformed self thinks it's long COVID. See, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, we don't know for sure. That's speculation, but it's what it sounds like. Shaq Lindsay saying, free Palestine. I'm sorry, I'm a little off topic and a little cont, but I got to get this out of my head. People are arguing that the statement, free Palestine, is in support of Hamas. When we say free, we mean free Palestine. All right, yeah, I'll wade into this a little bit, Shaq Lindsay, even though it's a little bit of a detour, and it is an important subject right now more than ever. That's part of what a certain part of the media wants to equate, that the people of Palestine are Hamas, and they're wrong. There's so many innocent people that are in Palestine. In fact, a huge percentage of the people in Palestine are not Hamas, and they're just innocent people that are in the middle of all this. The real story is that the Zionist government of Israel wants to eradicate Palestinians from the area. And they're using a very unfortunate terroristic attack that was bad and awful, but in some ways, a guard was let down to allow to happen, to be the impetus to just try and smear these people off the planet. It is disgusting. It is gross. I totally stand with Palestine, and I stand with the innocent people that are getting murdered in genocide right now by the Zionist regime of Israel, which is so fucked up. I love Jewish people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an anti-Semite, but in today's world, if you are anti-Israel or you talk against Zionists that are fucks that are doing this shit, they label you as an anti-Semite. That is bullshit. That is fucking, you see it with Doug Ford right now. He's getting questioned about the green belt, and he's accusing NDP of being anti-Semites. It's a diversion, and it's full of shit. You can be loving towards the Jewish people and Judaism and everything, and still think that what's going on right now is wrong. There is a huge amount of Jewish people in North America and around the world that are against what Israel is doing. And there's only a percentage of the Jewish people that are Zionists that are all for this. These are the people that send huge amounts of money to Israel to keep them strong to fight against these people and stuff, when in some ways Israel shouldn't even been there in the first place. I'm serious. I truly believe that. If some people think I'm full of shit for saying that, well, let's think about what's happened there and why this has happened and why this happened. And let's also think about the reasons why that happened and how y'all are repeating why the reasons why y'all are there yourselves. The reason why y'all went there is because you want to have the Holy Land back. You want reparations for the Holocaust and Nazis, doing horrible things to y'all in genocide. So now you have this area and you're trying to annex from people that were already there before you, and you're just as bad as the Nazis. You are doing the same exact shit that the Nazis did to the Jewish people in Germany, to the Palestinian people in Israel and in Palestine and in Gaza. So yeah, two wrongs don't ever make a right. And y'all are barbaric and fucked up, and fuck Zionist Judaism, because it is fucking one of the worst things in the world right now. And it is fucked up. I'm not against Judaism. I love Jewish people. I want people to be Jewish and live their lives and to be free and not be attacked and not have anti-Semite attacks or anything like that. Can you separate the two, you idiots? See, this is your blanket way to try and get a carte blanche to be able to fucking cause genocide. To say, oh, you're not with us, you're anti-Semite, you hate Jewish people? No, that's not what this is. I hate war. I hate genocide. I hate people killing people. That's what I hate. And you are the fucks who are doing it right now. Sure, those people were wrong to come over there and take hostages and do terrorist attacks. But yeah, let's let them be the war criminals and come after them and punish them. Now you go and do this, you guys are just as bad. In fact, you're 10 times worse because of the body counts. So I'm going to delineate something right now. You can be pro-Palestine. You can be anti-Israel, and you're not an anti-Semite. You can be pro-life and pro-people and pro-existence of innocent people, and you are not an anti-Semite. So yeah, But hold your tongue. People pushing this anti-Semite fucking label on people just because they don't stand with Israel. Fuck you guys. I will never stand with barbarians killing babies and bombing hospitals and using white phosphorus like war criminals on innocent children and older people and people that have nothing to fuck to do with this. So I don't know, Shaq Lindsay, what you wanted from me, but maybe that was what you wanted. And that's what I will say on that for now. There you go. There you go. Carlos saying my thoughts as well. I love you, Ahmet the GOAT. I know you're in Israel. I know you're in the middle of this. I know in some ways it's like pick a side. And I know in some ways you would pick the side of humanity and the people and people being alive, whether it's your people in Israel and the people in Gaza that are Palestinian also. That's the right stance to have, is to be against killing and against war, against murder, against terrorism. And terrorism came into Israel, yes, and it was wrong. And I denounce it, and I think those people should be punished. But the overcorrection is terrorism in itself. And that's all I have to say on that right now. Yeah, there you go. Tom Duke has got the crystal ball out. A cool cat saying, Lex, you're right about players coming over the border. That is why we have to be careful how we treat our homegrown players because who of similar talent coming to replace them? U.S. is first choice. Well, this is why we're doubling down on a more international flavor. Maybe we are looking at more of our Canadian guys coming back and playing for us too. There'll be guys that are willing to take the opportunity. There'll be people like Tal Hansborough said that Toronto's the best city he ever lived in. In some ways, it's overblown, but in some ways, it is still there. And it's kind of like on an individual case-by-case basis. Dame Lillard, a very certain case. Kawhi Leonard, a certain case. It's different case-by-case basis of what these guys are willing to do and what level they are willing to be on around the Raptors. So it's not as bad as it used to be for sure. It's gotten way, way, way better. And especially having a good crop of international players coming up in general. And then Canada, winning with basketball development in general as a country. Yeah, this is getting better and better for us. The cupboard to go take and get players for the Raptors 20 years ago was much worse than it is right now. So in some ways, things have gotten a lot better. Shaq Lindsay saying Palestine from their oppressors, Hamas and Israel, slavery was 400 years and 15 million people died. Is a right for black people to get revenge? Man, I don't even want to touch it anymore, Shaq. You heard what I just said, and that's where I stand. All right. That's where I stand. I stand with Kyrie on this one. It's weird. When I stand with Kyrie, I got to make sure that I'm still standing on a round earth. Let's see. Monique is saying the new City Edition jerseys are officially out. Raptors Nation. I love it. Yeah, they finally put them out. The all gold City Edition jerseys. They're nice. I've seen them. They look better when they're on the players. You know, if you see just a picture of the jersey and being gold, people are like, ugh, what is that? Some people are like, what is this? Willy Wonka's chocolate bar that I just want a ticket to the factory. You know, what is this? You know, I like the gold. I think it's cool. And the reason why they did all gold is because it's the 10th anniversary of OVO and Drake being with the Raptors. And they want to commemorate the golden age of the OVO age. And that's why it's all gold. You see the jersey on the players' bodies and it looks really good. If it's just sitting there on a table and it's just a gold thing there, you may be like, that's ugly. But when you see them actually wearing them, they're actually really nice jerseys. So, yeah, hold your opinions until you actually see them in action on the court is what I'll say right now. Yeah, good stuff, Mo. Thanks for reminding me about the new City Edition jerseys. They're not bad. I like them. I know some people are like, get away from the gold. Why are we doing gold so much? You motherfuckers want these back. Fuck that. Purple signifies losing in the Raptors franchise. And all y'all that want to wear your old purple gear, that's fine. You go ahead. But to me, I'm staying red and black and gold and black, because this is the new era, the winning era of the Raptors. And the purple era was losing. And that's part of the reason why you don't see me wearing a lot of purple on this channel very often, is because that's where I look at the purple. Y'all want the old purple throwbacks? That's fine for the 20th anniversary, the 30th anniversary of the team, but not on the regular. We don't need to be bringing purple back all the time. Trust me, we just don't. That's what it signifies to me. The winning Raptors era is red and black, and it has no purple in it. So, but you guys wear the old school stuff. It's cool and it does look awesome. And you don't have to think the same way as me. But I'm with the future. I'm with the present. And the present's more black and red and a little bit of gold is what I'm saying. Yeah. Cowboy's saying 2 alley-oops to Tominator. The Tominator. Yes, Terminator. Did you know that Arnold paid somebody early in his career to anti-Austrian his accent? He paid some guy. He's like, I want you to stop making me sound like this. And the guy came in, he tried to work with him, and he failed. He failed miserably at trying to make Schwarzenegger sound not Austrian. Well, it turned out to be the best thing ever. He wasted his money trying to get this guy to change his accent, and it made his career as a movie star. So there you go. Sometimes you don't always get what you want, but it's the right thing because it works out better, is what I'll say on that one. Yeah. So good job, Tom. Get to the plane and fly to Toronto. Okay. Nameless is saying Nicky Nurse is about to do the same thing in Philadelphia, which is halt their development system. This is something that they're all real big on. And this may be why Nick's like, Rico, you got to come with me to Philly. I need you to develop my team. That may be part of it. It's like, in some ways, Rico, we know he's a good development coach. And in some ways, Nick has been failing at developing the Raptors. So he needs Rico Hines next to him. I really do feel like that's part of it. It's weird seeing Nick with different coaches around him. Like, he has one guy who kind of looks like him. He's older. He's like his main. He's his Nate Bjorngren. I can tell. And then he's got Bobby Jackson sitting there like he's Earl Watson. And then Rico has moved to the front of the bench. So that's a big part of why he took the job with Nick, is he's like, if you come to Philadelphia, you don't have to sit in the back. You can be front bench with me this time. Oh, okay, Nick, I'll do it. I bet you that's a big reason why Rico Hines came to Philadelphia, was the promise of being on the front bench with Nick. So yeah, very interesting to see the new coaches around Nick, and just how many are there. None of the guys from he had last year, other than Rico. Really, Rico's the only coach he had from last year that has stuck with him into the move to Philly. Let's see. What a joke. What a joke. Let's see. He's also saying, Nameless is saying, the tech on Boucher at the beginning of the third quarter was the most egregious. One free throw for Philly before the quarter even started, just to hand the possession back to Toronto. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah, I could nitpick and go over every single ref call last night. There were a couple that were really screwy with out of bounds, where it looked dubious about who it went out of bounds on, and they just gave it to Philly. Yeah, there was a couple of things that were really dubious. What a joke. Exactly, Nameless. That tech on Boucher in particular. Seymour saying, most techs I've seen in the game in a while. That's what they were saying. The Philadelphia announce crew were like, there's a lot of technicals on the Raptors tonight. Very, very much a lot of techs. And they weren't even techs like Darko and Chris got. They were techs for fucking illegal defense. Stupid. KSM saying Shaq should Israel should have done nothing. I don't agree with that. Anyway, moving on. I know this is a sticky subject. I agree with them getting the people that did that, but I don't agree with decimating a city and like thousands and thousands of people. I know we'll disagree, some of us, on this, but in some ways, what is right, and people can act like they're right because of religion or whatever, or get all indignation because this horrible thing happened. Once again, this world isn't about retribution. You live in a world of lex talionis, which means eye for an eye in Latin. You get two blind people. And that's what I'm saying. In some ways, the Israeli people need to be the bigger person. In some ways, they need to solidify and protect themselves, sure. But in some ways, this isn't what that is. This is pure, straight up murder, is what it is. Oh my gosh, it really is. And I don't know, KSM. Listen, whatever your personal beliefs are, I respect. You can have them, and I just ask that you allow me to do the same. But listen, we don't have the one thing is I want to talk about basketball, and in some ways, my takes and my opinions, as I say, like they say on TVs, are purely my own, and they do not reflect all of the opinions of the Raptor Freaks, and they should not. We should all have our own minds and think the way we want to. Fiercely saying, yes, Paul Reed, we see you, motherfucker. That's right. Paul Reed is totally dirty. He's doing underhanded shit underneath. He's holding people. He's grabbing people when they're about to burst. Very, very dirty player, Paul Reed. He very much is. He got in foul trouble on Saturday against us in the first game, and he was doing more of the same stuff last night, too. Let's see. Seymour saying, no, let's leave the politics to the men on suits. Have a blessed day, everyone. There you go, Seymour. I like that. Blackhawk saying the tech with Boucher was because they caught Boucher getting back Beverly at the end of the second. Boucher fell for Pat's antics. Okay, I see. Yeah, and an eye for an eye. Yeah, I already said on that. I'm not going to bring it up anymore, Shaq Lindsay. You wanted me to talk about it. I talked about it. I did my rant. And now no more. Let's just stop the politic talk for the rest of the day. Let's see. Did you guys go look at the picture of Brook Lopez? Yeah. What do you think that is? Blackhawks saying basketball is about mind games, and we let Beverly get in our heads. To a degree, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that, Neil. Tom's saying that is gross. The Dookie. Yeah, y'all are laughing at Brook Lopez who pooped his pants. I think. Yeah, Amos is laughing at that. And Shaq Lindsay saying, I guess black people should start now. Okay, yeah, I don't even want to touch this anymore right now, Shaq Lindsay. We did our politics for the day. Fiercely saying, and Bozo needs to keep up his tumbling and dramatics with all the minutes he'll play this season and imminent injuries. He'll remember he had to tone it down. There you go. I like it, Fiercey. And Name was saying, I kind of feel bad for the guy. I don't. He's going the easy route. He's got a charmed life. There's nothing to feel bad for Embiid about just because he's, in some ways he's maturing. In some ways, he's actually stopping a lot of his extra bullshit antics, like egging the crowd on and doing his little airplane and stuff. He's actually toned that shit down, and I applaud him for that. I actually asked him to try and do that because in some ways it doesn't suit him. He's so dominant and so good. Just let that do the talking. You don't need to be an asshole and be like, oh, you can do it with class, and you may even get some of us to respect you, just like Tyrese Maxey. In some ways, Tyrese Maxey is a great role model for Joel Embiid on how not to showboat. And I hope he goes more in that direction more and more because he did. He's showing that, he had class, a little bit more class on Saturday. Joel did. There wasn't a whole lot of antics. He didn't do the DX chop against us. He did it the next night against Portland, and he got a $35,000 fine. So in some ways, I like that. I like that. And maybe it was Nick asking him. It's like, look, I don't want you to do that Bush League shit to the Raptors right now. In some ways, it was disrespectful to me when I was coaching there. And in some ways, it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? It doesn't help us. And he's like, okay, Nick, I'll listen to you. So maybe he's maturing a little bit. In some ways, I like that. I like growth in people. And if Joel's maturing a little bit more, he's going to do less showy bullshit on the court. I think Philly fans might enjoy that too, in some ways, because it's not extra sideshow and stupid shit. KSM saying, no wonder Brook subbed out early. You're getting a dunk, KSM. That's hilarious. No wonder he subbed out early. This is the first dunk for KSM, and it's a very poopy one. They was saying, that looks real to me. Yeah, there's a color there. I don't know if he sat in something or it's just like I don't know. I could tell a funny story here, but I'm gonna skip it. We're kind of already long. MSJ saying, I saw Beverly punked Flynn a bit too much, and really Flynn should next time go at him and punt with punches, kicked out of the game. Who cares? But just try to lace Beverly in the face. That's how to win. I don't know if that's right, Chris. In some ways, that's actually falling for his bait, like we just said Chris did, and he got that technical. That's what Patrick wants Malachi to do, to act out in anger and hit him and get thrown out or something like that. So in some ways, I'll disagree with you on this one, Chris. That's kind of falling into Patrick's trap, is what you're saying right there. Blackhawks saying Scotty and Pascal are not enough. We need more players to step up. The bench was a little better, but they need to do more. Yeah. And this is what Darko's saying. For us to be successful after the game, he said, we need contributions from everybody. Everybody who gets on the floor needs to do stuff to help us win. And I know that he's talking about the bench specifically, but he's right. And you're right too. We need the rest of the guys to fill out a really good effort also. And when we get that, we get wins like we did over the Bucks the other night. Dana's saying, I don't feel bad for Brook at all. Yeah, he's a shitty guy. Let's see. Blackhawks saying Beverly was definitely going at Malachi. I agree, MSJ. Yeah, he was trying to test his dog attitude and what level of dog Malachi has. And in some ways, Malachi didn't meet the challenge correctly. Shaq saying we just need better shooters around Pascal, OG, Dennis, and Scotty. Forget about the 6'9" vision and build around them. In some ways, I want to pivot, and in some ways, we're already seeing the symbol of this. Pivot from 6'9" athletic, crazy studs like we had a whole bunch of to maybe more sound, really badass dialed in shooters like Gary, Otto, and Grady. Maybe drafting Grady is a symbol of the pivot in how we're trying to do things. In some ways, Grady still kind of fits with Vision 6'9", but he's also a really good dialed in shooter. Maybe we'll see Masai and Bobby targeting more really good shooters in free agency and with draft picks in the years to come. This could be part of what they are going to start building around next, is getting a lot of this, what you're talking about, Shaq Lindsay. I could fully see this and predict this. It's already started with Grady, and things like Otto Porter being around. Dana's saying Oubre, spelled wrong, got a flopping call last night. Yeah, he did. He flopped. He did an over embellishment of taking contact, and they called the flop on him. Yeah. Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, they haven't been called a whole lot in Raptors games so far this season, but they're getting called all over the league, and it's crazy because they're going back and they're giving guys fines after the fact. They may not call the flopping foul during the game, and they may catch it later, and then they'll fine them like $2,000 or $3,000 for the flop after the game. So they're really trying to dissuade them from doing that overacting embellishment bullshit. But you saw Kelly do that. And it wasn't even on a play where he's like taking a charge or anything. He was kind of running along with them. And there was a little bit of like a bump between our player and him. And he went like this, whoa, like that. And that's why they called it. It's when you like overact. Like when you really go like, whoa, like that, they're going to call that on them. And I like that. I like that. That's a good new rule. It really is. Let's see. Tom Duke's got Darko, Shaq, here you go. Otto and Grady. That's right. New shooters. That's right. MSJ saying at Blackhawk. And if Flynn is a player in the NBA, he has to lace into Beverly. He has to, or he'll always be low on the pecking order. I feel Flynn literally has to fight his way higher. Well, that's the old mentality of the old NBA. And that's some ways where we come from, Chris. I know. We saw it in the old NBA. You had to fight like Charles Barkley's old league. And this league is not that totally the same way. And I wish it was more like the way it was before, but it isn't. It's just when we can't go back. It's just what it is. Blackhawk saying we got to acknowledge that the Sixers have weapons, and Nick Nurse is taking advantage of that. That's a huge, yeah. Yeah, he's coached so much and made so many plans against Maxey and Embiid. Now he gets to utilize them and really try and use them. Yeah, I think he's done a great job with what he did with them on Saturday. Really, really getting premium efficiency out of Maxey and Embiid against us. So I commend Nick for getting over there. He's got his new toys and he's really enjoying like working with them. It hurts in some ways because he's such a turncoat, but also at the same time, I get it. In some ways, Nick is like Joel going to like play for USA. It's a similar kind of motion. It's like, oh, things were too hard for you in Toronto, Nick. In some ways, okay, go play for a US team and it'll be easier for you. Just like Joel deciding to go play for USA at the Olympics next year. It's a similar thing. It's the easy route. Let's just put it that way. MSJ saying Flynn's daddy should get him some boxing gloves. Maybe. He probably has some. He's bulked up. One thing I'll say about Flynn, he's more physical out there with his new muscles. Like he wrenches the ball out of people's hands, and he's done that a couple times in recent games. I really like that. That's something I like. That he's getting in there and he's being like Keldon Johnson with Kevin Durant the other night. Wrench that ball right out of his hands and just take the ball. And we've seen Scotty have that behavior too. They're not holding the ball right, or they're kind of passive or kind of shaky. Scotty's getting in there, getting his hand in. He's like, well, fuck it. If you're not going to hold the ball right, I'm going to go just take it from you. And that's awesome. Him and Malachi showed that in the last couple games, a couple times. Shaq Lindsay saying Beverly is a bitch. Pick on the smallest guy on the court. Poor little Flynn. Well, he's just trying him. That's just what Beverly does. It's just part of his MO and his character build as a player in the league. It's just what he is. Nameless saying, laugh out loud. Twerk that thing, Lex. Twerk. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Throwing money at me. That's right. Like I'm a stripper. Blackhawk saying at MSJ, Flynn needs to protect the ball, to be honest. I'm glad Beverly went at him. He needs to toughen up. Yeah, I'm with that Blackhawk on this. This is the league. You're going to have to expect motherfuckers to try and punk you. Let's see how you react. And in some ways, Neil is exactly right. I'm glad Patrick trying him like this. I'd rather he try him because he's going to get tried at some point. Get him tried right now. Let's see what happens. MSJ saying, talk to you later, people. Work calls. All right, Chris, have a great Friday. TJIF. Shaq Lindsay saying Beverly is a little shih tzu. Shih tzu. I'm going to give you a dunk, Shaq Lindsay, even though you made me get all political today. And I may lose subscribers because you made me talk about the issue over there. I'll still give you a dunk. Let's see. There's Shaq Lindsay right there. Yeah. All right, let's see. Cowboys saying, I shit just seeing that now. Okay. Lex and Mr. Mountain Standard Time. All right, you just saw the text that I sent you yesterday. You got phone numbers? All right, good. Cowboys saying he's not even a dog or a cat. He's a cockroach. Okay, all right. And Carlos saying, what's your Facebook, Lex? Let me in that group. Laugh out loud. It's my name. It's my name. I'll write it in the chat right now, Carlos, so you can find me. It's real easy. It's just my name. Just I'm the only person in this world with that name. Nobody in this world has the same exact name as me. Isn't that weird? I went and looked it up. Nobody has the same name as me. I don't think ever in the history of the world. It's kind of weird. Trevor J saying, yes, Oubre, he did flop. He totally flopped. Totally flopped. Trevor's laughing about it. Let's see. Criscom's here. Good to see the great Criscom. What's good, Lex? Tough loss last night. I hate losing any game, but that was an example of just being outplayed. It would be nice to see Siakam step up, but it looks like Nurse and the Sixers are in his head. Well, they just know how to guard him. Nick, if anybody in the league's going to be able to stop him as a coach, it's Nick Nurse. Come on. So, yeah, I wouldn't read too much into Siakam's performances against the Sixers in particular. In some ways, the performance against the Bucks, read into that a little bit more. I think that's a better, more indicative game plan than this one from last night. Blackhawk saying Beverly, Paul George, and Tucker are egg our guys on because they built up rapport in Rico runs. Our guys have to rise to the bullying. Yeah, there's this. It's not even really bullying. It's just trash talk. It's really good that we're such a prominent force at the Rico runs. And there are a lot of guys at the Rico runs that are involved in the Sixers. They got KJ Martin now. And there's certain guys that have just ran a lot with Rico. And there is shit talk that graduates from that to the NBA. Paul Reed, another guy that was there a lot this summer. DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, they had a lot of Sixers at Rico runs this summer, obviously because Rico's an assistant coach for them. And yeah, there was a lot of shit talk, and there's a little bit of like stuff early for the season that's done at Rico runs that carries over for sure. For sure. Monique is saying won't make it to the meet and greet, Tom, but trying to meet up at the Raptors game versus the Celtics. We will definitely make a point to come and see you, Monique, at one of the games that week. If you're going to be at that Celtics game, that in-season tournament game, the first one the Raptors will play in, we will be there and we will seek you out and make sure we see you. I understand you live in another part of the city, and getting to this part of the city to come see us at the Real Jerk may be difficult. So I understand. So we'll try and meet up and rendezvous with you at the game, super fan. It's like it stopped right in front of my house. Okay, whatever. It's not stopping here, is it? All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat saying, I observed why Pascal did not get injuries like other players. Does not jump vertical when there's traffic. He jumps up and away. When landing, uses toes first, 10 rest of feet. Smart football skills. Yeah, maybe a little bit like a wide receiver and how they land with the secondary shadowing them. Yeah. Yeah, I listen. I think it's just because he has an amazing like body as far as like his endurance and how tenacious and tough he is. He really has worked himself into ultimate top shape, and that helps in fighting against any kind of stuff like that. And let's not talk about that. I hate even bringing that word up. Once again, I like avoiding talking in certain areas, and that's one area I don't want to talk about is injuries. Whether people are injury prone or possibilities of this kind of stuff. I get scared when I see Scotty hobbling on his ankle all of a sudden. We don't need that kind of shit. So let's not even talk about this, Cool Cat, even though that's an interesting observation. I don't want anything like Dallas last year happening. Let's just put it that way. Carlos saying, yeah, we're scoring toe-to-toe for a while. Then their bench came in. Yeah, it's tough. Darko has to do a better job of melding the starters with the bench, and he'll be fine. If he leaves at least Siakam or Scotty out there all the time, that'd be good. That's what the Bulls used to do. Phil Jackson used to always have either Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen on the floor at all times. It doesn't matter. You just keep one of them out there all the time. And in some ways, he needs to do that. He needs to always have either Scotty or Pascal on the court at all times. Seriously, there should not be a time where one of them is not on the court. One of them has to be out there all the time. I think that should be a rule he makes. Cowboys saying, can't wait for Sunday. Wembayama, yeah, your guy. And your fantasy team's really getting some stuff from him already. Huge game last night for Victor. Huge game. Trevor J saying, I will see the Toronto Raptors in Brooklyn on November 28th because I'm still here in New York City. So you're going to go see them in enemy territory. You go, Trevor J, and you hold it down for the Raptor Freak family and cheer the Raptors on right in the other arena. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. David's saying Marquise should guard Wemby. Seriously. Now you're making jokes. But you know what? That's a funny joke. Just the sight of like the image that was put in my head just now that David just gave me is hilarious in some ways. Marquise guarding Wemby. Nana Boogs is here. Nana Boogs. Very interesting name. Welcome. We're here every morning, 9:30 a.m. Tomorrow we're doing a Saturday Share the Love Club for Jack Armstrong, y'all. That's right. We're going to do Jack Armstrong Share the Love Club tomorrow. So be ready for that. Come on in. All you Philly fans who love Jack, come say hi. We'll share the love for Jack. Nana's saying, have you seen Pelots in Toronto? Pelots. I'm not sure what that is, and I don't know what you mean. Please elaborate. I'm very intrigued. And you have you're a member. That's nice, Nana Boogs. All right, very interesting. Nice to see a new name, and I don't know the context. It's very interesting. All right, let's keep going with the chat after that. All right, and I need to cut off, guys. We're in our third hour, and I want to finish up in 3 hours. Let's see. David's saying, so we should all violently hate Joel. I don't know. You're allowed to. You go ahead. Cool Cat saying, I was looking at social media where they mentioned Wemby and Scotty. NBA success timelines are intertwined. What a rivalry that would be. Now, I don't want to start a rivalry with Wembayama. That's not very likely, Cool Cat, because there's Western and Eastern things here. It's more like Chet and Wembayama will be a rivalry. But you know who could be a rivalry real quick, real fast, is Scotty with any of these Eastern Conference teams in big ways. If we get some sort of rivalry game, of course, there's a natural one with him and Embiid already. It could be that he gets a rivalry with some of those Boston guys very soon. And that could be very, very fun to see Tatum versus Barnes kind of rivalry coming and developing in the next couple of years. We'll have to see. I don't think it'll be a Western person, though. That doesn't make total sense because we don't play them enough. But yeah, it'll be fun to see Scotty try and guard Wembayama. It really will. Name is saying, I'm totally with you. If your hand is forced, you move Siakam over OG. We have some of what Pascal does elsewhere, but nobody like OG. Yeah, OG is unique in this whole league. As they say, Wembayama is one of one. Well, so is OG in some ways. Some people want to say there are guys like OG, but they're not. They're not exactly like him. Bilal Coulibaly may look like a young OG already, and he may be looking like he's going that direction, but he's not OG. He's not exactly OG. And I value OG. Bobby, keep OG. If you're going to keep anybody, keep OG with Scotty for sure. Carlos saying there was this one possession where Siakam drove the lane and Pirtle recognized and jumped out of the way, and then Siakam dumped off to him for an easy two. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Part of the communication is them talking to each other and getting in the right mindset. So they need to be sitting on the plane next to each other. They need to be talking all the time and saying, like, let's do this and let's do this. And then boom, stuff like what Carlo was talking about that happened last night happens more. They need to be on the same page. And in some ways, Siakam said, yeah, I forgot. I should talk to Pearl more and kind of figure this stuff out with him. Yeah, you guys are best friends. Just do this. You guys have a natural rapport. You can figure it out. You love each other. You'll get it right. Carlos also saying, so there is a way to fix spacing by smart movement, but it needs to be drilled down. Some of it is just pre-thought, pre-visualizing, pre-talking about it. Okay, well, what if the defender does this? Okay, well, then I'll roll and do this, and you look for me over on the side of the hoop. You know, it's that simple. Sometimes you just got to talk it out and kind of premeditate what could happen in situations in the game, and you get your protocol for how to act in those situations. And especially if y'all are on the same page, it's just like playing cards. If you're partners and you understand each other's tendencies, you can really game the system and get really good results from it. And that's what I want to see with these guys. They should intimately understand their proclivities of each other and really work in conjunction with each other to get the best outcomes, is what I'm saying. And that is a good description of that kind of situation. Is Pirtle read the situation, he stepped out for a second, but then boom, it allowed him to get a layup. It's fantastic. Seymour saying only the Chicago game and Portland game was a disaster. I'm feeling confident in this group, growing pains. This is true. I feel the same way. I feel like those two games were the only two games where I was absolutely like, I hate this shit. The other games were okay. They were admirable. The Philly games, I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at them. But those other two losses, they were bad. They were bad losses that we had no business taking. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, let's not talk about that guy, Pat Bev. Don't build up post-career goal on social media. They know Raptors are social media gold for ratings. Don't fall for the bait. Ignore him. No money on our backs. This is true. In some ways, Pat Bev knows that Raptors Nation can come and give him a lot of clicks and a lot of traffic, and they will do this. Writers do this. Our own Raptors controversial channels will do this just to get people engaged by inspiring hate or anger and stuff like that. It's the same thing. And Cool Cat is exactly right. I have not watched Pat Bev's podcast other than the Nick Nurse episode. And that was only because I wanted to hear what Nick Nurse had to say. I'm not going to go give him clicks. I'm not going to go give him that attention. And Cool Cat has the right approach. I'm with her. I'm with her on that. We just talk about it because it's partly the news of the back and forth, and we played them last night. But otherwise, I'll ignore the hell out of Patrick Beverley for the rest of his life as much as possible. Yeah, CountryCon saying you guys have to appreciate how much harder basketball is to play when there are other players in the paint. The other four players either help you or hurt you. We need to space the floor for Scotty. Yeah. We just need to be smart and play with each other and understand that. One of the things that I was, if we had hired Jordy instead of Darko, one of the things that Jordy's philosophy that I really like, in some ways I want Darko to maybe steal, is the whole idea of the efficiency of the players without the ball on offense. In some ways, Jordy's philosophy is that the players that don't have the ball should be moving, and that's more efficient because their movement off the ball causes more good things for the offense. And in some ways, we have a natural state to just stand there. I don't know why. Maybe they want to catch a little bit of rest, but I really do feel like part of our problem is we're wasting motion on offense with guys that don't have the ball, not moving. And if we keep the guys stirring the pot and moving all around, and they're doing it in the right way where the spacing's not getting clumped up, then we should have a way better offense. But it is predicated on the guys buying into the fact that they believe that when they're off the ball and they don't have the ball, they need to be in motion. Because that's something that Jordy, if we'd hired him, he would be making these guys move without the ball. That's something the Kings do really well. And I want maybe Darko to kind of steal that from Fernandez. This whole idea that there's an efficiency to your offense that's lost if your guys without the ball aren't moving in motion without it. And I want to see more of that. I see too much of our Raptors on offense standing around still. And I hate that. I don't want them standing around anymore. I don't care if it's Grady waiting in the corner to get the corner three. Sure, that's fine. But if there's parts of the motion that should be going, they shouldn't do it half-assed either. They shouldn't just be like jogging through just because that's part of the motion. No, crisply run through with energy and beat your guy. Because in some ways, that's how you lead to the best shot is you got to beat people. You got to beat people a couple of times. You beat them once, you beat them twice, and then boom, the third person you beat is a wide open shot and you made it. And it's a really easy shot. So in some ways, the movement off the ball needs to be better on our offense, and that'll help things with the spacing is what I'll say. Let's keep going. Kareem saying Sam Mitchell, Dwayne Casey's, Nick Nurse. I see a trend here, and I'm going to already anoint Darko as the 2024 Coach of the Year. Raptors have a rich history when it comes to coaches. We don't have that many coaches. Considering we're a team that's under 30 years old, the fact that we only have 10 coaches in our whole history is actually kind of phenomenal. You can go look at Vancouver, which became Memphis. How many coaches have they had in the same time period? Think about that. Seriously, how many Vancouver coaches and Memphis Grizzlies coaches have there been? There's been way more than 10, I'm pretty sure. And that's really a testament to stability and making good coaching hires. Now, early on, we did not. We had changed our coach after our first year. And then Darrell Walker got fired too. And then Butch Carter. And then, Kevin O'Neal and all kinds of crazy like one and dones and Jay Triano. They are all part of our coaching history. So the fact that we've only had 10 coaches in 30 years is actually kind of impressive. And Kareem's right. We have a history with the last 3 coaches that we've had have all won Coach of the Year. Yeah. So in some ways, we could actually realistically expect Darko to win a Coach of the Year during his tenure because there is a template that has shown that this is the pattern. But it is really important that he gets a real chance to be successful to get it, and people don't bail on him too early is what I'm saying. Yeah, David's saying, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Kareem, I'm going to give you a dunk for that point about the coaches. I think that was really good. Let's see. Tristan's saying back-to-back early in the season. We'll get it. That's right. That's right, Muscle Man with fire. Fiercely saying at Shaq Lindsay, your comment in reference to Palestine reminded me of Almond the Goat. We haven't seen him in the chat recently. I hope he's okay. Yeah, we're gonna have trivia this week, guys. So there will be trivia on Tuesday, Amit, if you're listening to me. So be ready, Fiercey, also. But yeah, there's trivia on Tuesday because it's the second day off in a row. We'll do the reaction to the Spurs game on Monday, trivia on Tuesday, because the next game won't be till Wednesday. So we're going to share the Love Club and trivia this week, just so y'all know. Let's see. And I hope Amit's okay too. I hope that his absence isn't anything to do with war. Let's just put it that way. Prayers for him. Yeah. CountryCon saying, Lex, OG is so much more than you realize. The paint is clogged. Scotty can maneuver with multiple bodies because he's huge with long arms. OG needs spacing. Mikal Bridges knows that OG is underrated. I know he's good too, but listen, I don't like what we're getting for the risk. The reward is not good enough for the risk, is what I'm trying to say with this CountryCon. I don't think that, it's not that I don't think he can do this stuff. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it. I think that the outcome will be failure more often than success. And it's not worth trying to develop further. It's partly because he's just so clunky. In some ways, he's not fast, y'all. He's not like he's got a quick first step. He's not quickness. He has no speed. So him doing things off the dribble is not smart because every single defender in the league can come and meet him and cause a charge. The other thing is he doesn't slow really quick. Once he gets going, his momentum goes, and it's so easy for them to just get offensive charges off him. So in some ways, that's the reason why I say this. You can say it's the spacing. If we all cleared out and let him do it, yeah, but I don't think that they'd be successful still because a lot of the times when he did do that stuff, he's dribbling it off and he's losing the ball, or they're coming and stripping it from him, or, it just hasn't worked. I look at what works on the court naturally. And in some ways, OG doing that stuff just doesn't naturally. But it's about risk reward. There's too much risk trying to become that player. And the reward of it in the long run may not be that great anyway. So why would we continually try and get him to do that if even in the end, he still has a high percentage of failing at doing it, higher than making it? See, I can see the potential of Scotty making these shots near the basket like 80% of the time. OG gets a ball in that kind of a situation. I think he's successful 30 to 40% of the time. So you do the math. I think it's about risk and reward. And the reward with the risk of OG playing in that kind of way is not worth it, to me at least. We'll see if it's worth it to Darko. And I don't think this is a problem for OG. I don't think he cares about developing his game in the way that some of the fans want him to, or that the press has said, oh, he's unhappy with his role. That's bullshit. This guy's playing better and better every year. And he gets better on the offensive side in little ways. But in some ways, he doesn't need to be that, is what I'm saying. Monique is saying, my 3 stars of the game, despite the loss, are Scotty, OG, and Dennis. Yeah, same ones for me. My order was OG, Scotty, and then Dennis. I thought OG was the best player for us last night. Shaq Lindsay just wants peace. That's all I want too. I want a ceasefire. I want the will of what the most of the people in this world want, and not just really rich fucks who just want to decimate a race of people out of that area right now. I'm serious. That's evil. That's evil. What they want is evil. It's evil what Hamas wants, and it's evil what they want too. They're both bad. They're both bad sides, and I just want peace and less killing. A ceasefire. That's what I want right now. A ceasefire. Because listen, it's a one-sided fight. It's not fair. This fight is not fair or equal. It's not like they're matched up and they're equal competitors. There's one side that has a big, huge, heavy club, and they're just mashing people. And there's the other side has, in some ways, no voice or no people standing up for them because the press is so berating and putting that if you don't stand with Israel, you're anti-Semite. Well, that's not true. That is not true. We're anti-war. And in some ways, being anti-war and peace is what we want is more important than being labeled an anti-Semite. You can call me an anti-Semite because I'm against y'all murdering and genociding people? Okay, I'll live with that label in your eyes. But I know the truth about myself, that I have a love for people that is regardless of religion. I never gave a shit about religion. Religion does not exist in my world. I make my choices on what's right and wrong from my own moral code of spirituality. And if you're doing things in the name of religion, you're fucked. And you're doing shit in the name of what people did 500 years ago. You archaic son of a bitches. is what I'll say. Religion is one of the worst things in this world. And you go ahead and be hardline religious zealots. You're just as bad as the Taliban. Conservative Christians in the middle of the United States are just as bad. And so are the Zionist Israelis that are hardline murderers right now at this point. And that's what I'm saying. The Hamas is a murdering terrorist organization that's fucked up and needs to be decimated and gone from this earth. But I can also say that the genocide of the Palestinian people is something horrible and fucked up that needs to go off this earth also. That's right. You can be right on both of those. And, you can be on both sides of things and want to protect life just in general. And that's what we're saying right now. Shaq Lindsay's saying exactly the league is trying to destroy our vibes with the scheduling and the referees. That's right. That's why we have to stay together and not turn on each other and go forward and kick some ass. Tom Duke saying, have a great day, everyone. Let's go Raptors. Chat cut off. Thank you. Country Kong saying, I have a dream that one day Scotty Barnes will be on the floor with OG, Grady, Gary, and my adopted son, Malachi. Teams won't dare double team Scotty for fears of leaving a lethal shooter. Now, do you have red hair, Country Kong? Is this some sort of weird thing? Is like Eric Flynn's like, why does Malachi have red hair? None of our family has red hair except for Malachi. This is Country Kong's son. I don't know. It's weird. Let's see. Yeah, there's gonna be a new era and age or built around Scott with a lot of shooters, and it'll be very fruitful. I believe in that too. Davis got the cutoff. Seymour saying Nick Nurse has a full 411 on our team. He definitely sent Pat Bev at Malachi. We will be fine. That's right. Keep holding it down. Seymour saying, yo, Shaq, do you hate black people? I don't even know what they're talking about with that or anything. He's retracted his messages. I have no idea. In some ways, I don't want to wade into this any further. I probably already turned off some people. David's saying, we're Canadian. We love all people except for Joel. Dunk for David. I was just about to move in that direction anyway, Seymour. So, yeah, we'll give David a dunk for his really real hatred for Joel. I sent him a text yesterday and said, hey, what's Cowboy's phone number? And then I ended it with fucking Embiid. And he's laughing because I added that as like the ending part of my message. Yeah, it was good. David, bam. All right, let's see. Kareem saying, I have a dream that one day the referees will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all players are created equal. man, Kareem, that's cool. I like that. I don't know if this will ever happen, but I wish they would. I want them to be more on the up and up. We can see what y'all are doing, though. Just so y'all know, refs, you're not getting one by us. Seymour's laughing. Shaq Lindsay saying, my people suffer 400 years of slavery. Okay, it sounds like, in some ways, I don't know who was slaving who or what or whatever and stuff like that. In some ways, you're going too heavy today, Shaq Lindsay. In some ways, I wanted to keep today light. We're dealing with a loss to the Sixers last night. And in some ways, I don't want to deal with the whole conflict in Israel right now, too. There's a lot on our plate already. Blackhawks saying, no offense, Lex, but the loss is on Darko. He's still figuring out the rotations against a top 500 team. That is a recipe for disaster. We'll have a few more of these. Yeah, I don't know if I want to totally blame Darko, but I will give him some of the credit for, this. But in some ways, once again, Blackhawk, what are we supposed to do in this situation with the schedule? I know that in some ways people are saying, oh, you're using excuses, but it is really true. So true in this situation. When Philadelphia last played on Sunday and we had to play Milwaukee in our building and travel to them overnight, got in at like 4 a.m. last night and played against them that same day. And they had 3 days rest. I mean, seriously, that is a huge, huge part of why we lost last night. And we can say the rotations, yeah, they added to it. Sure, maybe he could have been a creative way of overcoming the tiredness from the back-to-back. But in some ways, it's also like, how the fuck do you get around this? Seriously. And the team's already at home with a really good home crowd, and they're all rested. They're not hurting. They're at full strength. They're supposed to be a top Eastern team. There's a lot of odds stacked against us. In some ways, I'll take how we did and performed considering those parameters. I really will. Carlos saying at Shaq Lindsay, if you were given the power to solve the Middle East issue, how would you go about it? To me, if I was to do this, because I can't answer for Shaq Lindsay, I would allow the people of Gaza to have the area that they have. And you can't treat them like they're in a concentration camp. In some ways, y'all really do need to respect the boundary that you establish and not be like changing it just because you're fucking powerful and you can move it. Because that's what Israel's done since this whole thing started. They had designated areas that they were going to be in, and they didn't like respect them. And I know there's conflicts both ways that caused it, and they're saying, okay, well, we kicked your ass and we just took more of your land, is what they're saying and stuff like that. But in some ways, that's fucked up in itself. I know that Israel's going to exist and people are just going to be there. It's established and is very much entrenched, and there's no way around it. But in some ways, it's like, look, I get it. And y'all are fucking basing this off of all bullshit, history bullshit, religion bullshit about a site of a land. It's really just a piece of land. In some ways, I get it. It's important to everybody. And it's just, it has to be in somebody's hands or somebody's hands. What the fuck? People can't fucking share. Fucking, what the fuck? Y'all can't share this shit. And in some ways, why can't you coexist? In some ways, the people that aren't tolerant of other people coexisting around them are the people that are wrong. They're always the ones that are wrong. And both sides have people that are intolerant of the other people being around. So I don't know. There's no easy thing to this. And in some ways, this was a setup by the powers that be to make War Machine money and war profiteer because they knew this would be a perpetual conflict. And it would be always easy for big military contract companies to make huge amounts of money off of the situation in Israel. There's no clear cut, easy answers. There really isn't. The history is crazy. The parts of things are crazy. I understand why the Palestinians don't want to just leave. A lot of people just say, well, just leave and go to the other countries around there. I understand why they don't. And in some ways, they shouldn't have to. But I also understand why Israel wants to protect themselves since they're entrenched and they're now at this point. But in some ways, they're being colonialists and they're being very expansive and imperialistic by trying to acquire and annex more land. And in some ways, they need to just hold fast to the boundaries of what were agreed to and fucking stop trying to fuck with them around them. For some reason, they don't let people leave Gaza, or when they leave, they can never come back. And it's a really fucked up kind of hostage situation of a whole huge group of people in the middle of that country where they're cut off from the rest of the world. And if they give them the option to leave, they can't come back in. So that's why they don't leave. So it's a really weird situation. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. But in some ways, they need to just stop bombing people right now. That could be just a good enough start right now, for at least. Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's go. All right, let's see. Carlos saying false flag event. It's already backfiring. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, look, I know this is controversial to talk about 9/11, but in some ways, the US wanted a reason. Let's just put it that way. Just like Netanyahu wanted a reason. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, let's see. Seymour saying, bruh, bruh, man, bruh. And David's got red flag, red light. Woo, woo. Fiercely saying a center is important. We see how Memphis is struggling without Steven Adams. JJJ is not a factor. Laugh out loud. Yeah, Memphis is crashing out, and they got Bismack Biyombo. They signed him, and he's showing up. Randolph saying we need DeMarcus Cousins. No, I think he's washed. He's a little too old at this point. David is clapping. Okay. And David's saying listening to you talk about politics is just as interesting as listening to you talk about basketball. Seriously. I appreciate that, David. That's high praise. I appreciate that. I just want to be interesting. How about that? Cream saying Lex for prime minister. We all just voted for you to make that run. Man, if I get anywhere near that, something crazy happened. I mean, in some ways, I wonder if I should be in politics, if I should be trying to be a leader around us. In some ways, I am being a leader by doing this channel. I don't know. We can all go about it in different ways and have our own spheres of influence. I know that things that I say on this channel can butterfly effect, and we can change information being passed and people being more intelligent and understanding situations. So if anybody was enlightened a little further on things by anything I said, whether it was basketball or the other thing, I've done my job, is what I'll say. But in some ways, I appreciate that. That's a high compliment. And in some ways, I don't want the responsibility of leading everyone, but I don't mind being a voice of reason and an intelligent voice in the conversation. How about that? Kareem's giving me a slow clap. All right, all right. You like my rant on that? I mean, it's the way any person that has no religiosity is looking at this, is not partial to Judaism, Muslims, Christianity. I'm not in anybody's camp. I don't consider myself a Christian. I really do not, even though my family is traditionally a Christian family, Lutheran. No, I do not consider myself Christian. I consider myself, if I'm anything, Buddhist. and spiritual, very spiritual, in some ways very secular. So all this bullshit about fighting for Jerusalem and shit, I fuck all that. I don't give a shit about that. It's fucking stupid. It's like so dumb. Y'all base so much shit off of old ass shit that people wrote just to manipulate the masses. You dumbasses. You're duped, is what I say. All of y'all. And in some ways, people say, well, it's all the same God. You're just interpreting them with different names. You're coming to the same. I believe that too. I believe that these people that are Muslim, Jewish, or Christian, they all believe in the same person. It's just that they're calling them different names. And in some ways, they just want to divide us in some certain stupid ways and stuff. Somebody got mad at somebody, and then they made some other religion, and they got mad, and then all this stuff. It's so dumb. Y'all have the same leader. It's just that y'all call them different names, you idiots, and you fight over that. It's so dumb, honestly. All right, let me keep going and finish up this. Wow, I'm on 5 minutes to 3 hours. Yikes. So I have been going a little long here. All right, let's see. Infamous is saying, salute, freaks. One of the things I do observe from yesterday's game is, as a team, we have to learn to take charges. In my opinion, it's one of the reasons we get in foul trouble. I like this. I mean, we saw, all right, there was one play that Dennis did that was brilliant. Did you see the very veteran play of Dennis getting the charge on Joel Embiid? He read the play exactly right. And when Joel turned around, he didn't realize Dennis was there, and he absorbed the charge. He got it very successfully. I love that. In some ways, Dennis is showing some Lowry stuff even now. Like, I love Dennis is going to take a charge against Joel. That's a big deal. You know the play I'm talking about. Dennis looked like he was out of position, but he was reading it really well because he knew what Joel was going to do. And Joel didn't know he was there, and he had to run over him. He had the momentum, and he couldn't stop himself. So he ran and turned into him, and boom, there's a charge on Joel into Dennis Schroeder. And a lot of guts to take that in that matchup with the bodies involved. A lot of guts. Let's see. And Grady's shown that he may have an aptitude to take charges also by getting to the spot and stand there. Now, part of it with him is he's just going to have to stand straight up, and he's going to have to learn what the refs look for to give you a charge call. Now, OG should have had a charge call in one of these recent games, but he had his body all twisted and weird in a certain way, and they couldn't give it to him because he wasn't really straight. It really is about being straight and not moving, and then you'll get those calls. Let's see. Name was saying Flynn getting those Fred VanVleet iron mitts. Yeah, he was clamping and ripping it out of their hands, and I like that. We need to see more of that. Cool Cat saying, I only brought up the ankle thing because I felt Scotty's pain last night in the Sixers game. I observed the difference throughout the league. I look at Curry very closely, too. When I talk about Wemby and Scott, I also mean the face of the league as well. Great marketing. Well, we know that's not likely, that they're going to put like Scotty versus Wemby as the future. No, I would. Well, it'd be nice, but it's not going to be him. It won't be Scott. Scott will be a secondary star in the league, unfortunately. But if he gets overpowering and he gets more of the spotlight, hey, if he can grow into this, I just don't see it, Cool Cat. If you can have a rivalry with an Eastern Conference player, that'll be more likely. Yeah, and I hated that thing with Paul Reed. It really was that he grabbed Scott when he was trying to burst up the court, and it kind of made him like step funny on his ankle, and that was no good. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying, I hope your subscribers don't get turned off by your opinion. That's what makes this chat so beautiful. Try being married for 15 years. I've learned to keep my opinions to myself. This is part of the problem where I am in my life, probably divorced. And, part of my problem with my career was I was the kind of person that would go and work at places, and I wouldn't change my morals as far as like, I won't do this. Like, you asked me to fire someone that doesn't deserve to get fired. I refuse to do it. I won't do this. I was always kind of an asshole in the company to the company and not following the company line if I felt like moralistically the company line was wrong. So I lost a lot of jobs for standing on my own morals and not caving in just to keep a job, to be like scared and follow the line. So in some ways, that's part of the reason why I am the way I am, is because fuck them. In some ways, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to fucking be full of shit just because you want me to be full of shit because you pay me. And I would lose jobs. So in some ways, I've always been outspoken and not really cared about the repercussions. And that's part of what's happening here. If my number goes down, it does. Whatever, Shaq Lindsay. I control my number. I don't care. It's been steadily going up since I started this. And that's great. But if I lose a couple people, it is what it is. A lot of times the people already know how I feel about this, and it's okay. But yeah, I didn't get to 15 years. I only got 2.5 because maybe I was not holding my tongue or keeping my opinion to myself. And that's why I probably, partly it's probably my alcoholism more. Mugarbe saying, "Good morning, Raptor Freaks. We can't win with the offense running through Scotty. He's only going to get his stats. But if the offense runs both through Scotty and Pascal, we have a better chance to win." Okay. Okay. Mugarbe saying, "Lex, I tell people all the time that religion divides the people." Exactly right, Mugarbe. And you're for saying a basic truth, I'm going to give you a dunk because it is true. It really is one of the most insidious things that is used to divide us all is the religious differences. I don't know. Mugarbe's on here. I know I've given him a dunk recently. There he is at the bottom there. All right. The other comment you're saying, as far as the offense thing, listen, Scotty passes just as much as he shoots, so he can do it and he can take it over and it will work. But we need Siakam to carry some of the weight right now, while Scotty is still learning to be the absolute premium number one guy on our team. In some ways, Scotty can't do enough to make that water enough for us to win, but he will be able to eventually. I'm going to tell you that right now, that he will be able to do it all by himself and carry us to wins with the help of guys in role player kind of levels to win by himself. And we won't need a dual threat. So this is like the early on trial period. He's learning and getting his feet under him. But eventually, I'm going to tell you right now, Mr. Lennon, he's going to be able to do it by himself. It's too early and he's learning it right now. But he will be able to, trust me. And in some ways, Siakam can help him while he's still learning right now, for sure. And he can help him later too. He's a great target for him to hit for assists and also be diversion, so it helps him get more easier scores because they have to respect Siakam. Nameless saying, "Religion is just a tool to divide and conquer. Here's the truth. You are all God having a human experience, and heaven is right here, right now. The ability to be an individual. Now take it and go." There you go, Nameless. You're getting in some Eckhart Tolle stuff. Don't say you've never been told. Bam. He said that the other day. Something I was watching Eckhart Tolle from British Columbia, the great New Age theologist. He's saying that in some ways, don't look for God outside of you. In some ways, we are all innately, it's not that we're God-like, but God is a part of nature. And it's just a part in the animals and the plants and in us in nature and naturally. So in some ways that is part of you got to think about. It's like, it's not that you're above and you're like, oh, I'm a God or anything like that. No, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining it exactly right. Nameless is saying this physical universe is not real, and what you are in most truest form is not something physical at all. It gets deeper, but I'll stop there. This is what I'm talking about. That it's like the presence and the awareness is God. Awareness is God. Seriously, if you can just get to that level of just general awareness and the connectedness of the universe and everything all together, then you will understand what the meaning of what the presence of God is and what it is inherently in all things natural in this world. It's very, very deep stuff. And you got to meditate and really clear your mind to get to that place where you can really get that eureka moment. It's like, oh, now I understand what they're talking about. It's what the Buddhist monks chant and meditate and sit and just stillness for days, weeks, months, years to find is what we're talking about. Yeah. His name was saying, so enjoy your lives, y'all, because it all means nothing anyways. That's another part of it. Monique saying, W stream, keep at it, raps, go raps. Yes, thank you, Mo. And Coquette saying, short players can take charges. Tall players have a long way to fall to take charges and would be injured. Okay. Mugarbe saying, Lex now can win it in this league by themselves. Just ask KD, Booker, Luka, and Embiid how that goes. I'm just saying that Scott, it's not that Scotty's going to do it by himself. It's just the way he plays by itself is getting people involved because he passes so much. I don't mind him being the number one and taking most of the shots because he's so unselfish. He's going to find his teammates and get them involved too. It's a different thing than Fred and Pascal last year. And I know Pascal was good at finding people also, but Scotty, in some ways, he's really looking for other people. So in some ways, I'm not worried about Scotty being too selfish. In fact, I want to encourage him to be more selfish and stop passing as much to everyone. So in some ways, I'm seeing it from the other side, Mugarbe. You may be saying, oh, he needs to get more people involved. But I'm like, no, let's discover more what Scott can do in a selfish way. He's going to pass it to people no matter what, because that's just his nature. That's his default. So in some ways, we want to encourage him to be more selfish is actually the truth. Nameless saying, that's right. God is pure consciousness and infinite imagination. See, I understand. Nameless and I know about this. I've read books and studied this a lot in my sobriety since I got sober in 2010. Is that I've done a lot of thinking about this stuff and what he's talking about. Cool Cat saying, Lex, how the NBA league is set up, you need a duo to win to play playoff to win. LeBron didn't win until he had Dwayne Wade and then Kyrie with Davis. Jokic, Jamal was the duo to win. No, I'm not saying that we don't need Siakam or we don't need a second person next to Scott. I'm just saying that on an individual game basis, on certain nights, Scott will be enough to take us home as far as the dominant top player on our team. I get it. If you want to win a championship, you need more guys around you to flesh it out, especially if they're going to shut you down. But don't be surprised if there's some games this year where Scotty is absolutely dominating and we win on his shoulders. And Siakam may not do a whole lot. Seriously, it'll come like that. We're losing them right now. But the whole idea that, like you guys are saying today, is that Scotty needs to get Siakam more involved. That's true, and we could help us to win, but don't get it twisted. Scott may be able to win games by himself without Siakam having huge games also. It's just right now it's so early. He can't yet. But I could see him doing this, like where he completely puts us on his back, just like LeBron would do for the Cavs back in the day. Now, you're right, Cool Cat. This won't add up to a championship. We need way more around him for a championship. But for individual game, Scotty could take us home and win games by himself eventually. And I'm going to predict it in the next month. It's going to start happening. We're going to see it in the next month. Let's see. Name is saying, see y'all tomorrow. Carlos saying, nice to know that about you, Lex. I've been sober 5 years now, since 2018. Now, it's relative. I don't drink alcohol. I have not drank a drop of alcohol since 2010, but I do smoke weed, and I do certain psychedelics. And so some people would consider that's not really sober, Lex. Well, I haven't drank any alcohol since 2010, and you tell me if that's sober or not. But yeah, I appreciate that too. And hey, listen, if this is borderline AA meeting, also, we can do that a little bit because I do have a lot of experience with that kind of stuff too. Mugabe saying, Lex, Scotty is the number one. All I'm saying is that the offense has to run through both of them until he figures it out. Yeah, we're saying the same thing. It's just we're kind of saying it in different ways. We're on the same page. Exactly, Mugabe. I agree. We want Siakam to help him carry. We really much do. But if there are nights where Siakam can't, don't be surprised if Scotty can be enough to take us to the win just himself. Seriously. It's not that he does it all by himself. It's just that he's by far the dominant guy who's really carrying us there. All right. Top of top done. Gone. Yeah, man. He's gone. I'm sorry. I just got sick of his shit. In some ways, I was like, I don't want to do this year. Y'all are trying to be positive and you're bringing up good points. In some ways, he's coming in with a slant immediately. And he wants to push that. And part of it is he's trying to cause problems with us. I can tell. I called him dubious already this week. He's already sounded like Pantsera for like a year. And I'm just like, I don't want to go through another year of him talking shit about Fred VanVleet last year. He's going to start talking about Siakam this year. And it makes me sound like, oh, okay, this guy is a regular on Pantsera basketball. And that's all I'm saying. I don't want any Pantserites here. Country Con saying, glad you came around, Mugabe. Lex, get out of here. Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. All right, Country Con, for rounding it out with some Arnold right at the end. All right, I will give you a dunk for that. That's awesome. I love the get to the chopper. Where's Country Con? There he is right there. All right, y'all. Let me see if I wrap it up real quick. I'll finish it up real quick. My 3 stars of the game are OG, Scotty, and Dennis. Good job, guys. Honorable mention goes to Pirtle, even though it's like such a hard fight. What he had to do. The bench guys, I don't even want to go over you guys too much because in some ways, Jalen McDaniels was much better in the game last night. Garrett Temple got in for a hot cup of coffee. Thad Young finally made his debut for the year. Boucher, mixed bag. I'm okay with what Boucher did. Malachi, I'm okay with what he did. Gary, oh my gosh, I just want you to get better. But you know what? You're showing signs. Grady, you're a rookie. You're going to have a learning curve. It's just what it is. Congratulations to the Sixers. Maxi's awesome. I love Maxi. Fuck you, Embiid. The rest of them, you all suck it too. Korkmaz with your bullshit coming off the bench too last night. Yeah, they made him good last night. It's crazy. Do we do the Raptors Instagram check? No. There's not really anything on there. Brook Lopez shit his pants apparently the other day. And that's about it, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Tomorrow we'll do the Saturday Share the Love Club for Jack Armstrong, our great longtime color commentator that we love. That's right. Get that garbage out of here. So if you love Jack, it's time to show love for Jack. This is the only time we'll ever do the Share the Love Club for Jack Armstrong. So let's come in and correct and really, really share the love for Jack tomorrow, y'all. So join me at 9:30 a.m. and bring the things that you love about Mr. Jack Armstrong to the chat. I'll see y'all then, 9:30 a.m. Remember, keep your head up and let's go Raptors. More positive, great, awesome things in the future for us. More championships eventually. We'll get to them again. I believe it. I do believe it. All right, y'all. Let's go Raptors. And thanks for talking with me today. I appreciate every single one of y'all. And I'm sorry, Top. It's just, I can't do this anymore, man. I just can't. I'm sorry. Let's go Raptors.